Live from the Battleborn Broadcast Center, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go, Cofield and Company. Here on this Wednesday, we're hanging out at the Battleborn Broadcast Center. Lot to update you on in the WNBA and NBA. The Lakers stuff just got really crazy the last couple of days, so we'll bring in our LA expert, Arash Markazai, in just a little bit. Willie Ramirez is doing, or is handling, the co-hosting duties. He is the company back in our Findlay Toyota studios. It is James twirling the dials, pushing the knobs, hitting all the slides. You can watch us right now live up on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Willie, you covered some WNBA last night. Important game, big stories at the game. In general, what's going on, pal? I haven't seen you in a few days.
Yeah, just trying to keep up, really. Trying to keep up with the rush that's hitting us between a lot of stuff a lot of previews that I've been writing for NFL we'll get into later in the show. WNBA, crunch time, sort of anticipating.
No, like what's going on with you? How are you? Not your work.
Oh, wow.
I care about you. How's your leg?
Wow.
What's been going on with the diet lately? How are the workouts? The things the audience really cares about.
Well, we talk about. I haven't set it up yet because I came storming in late. My fault. Didn't realize my tank was on E, but that's a whole other story. The TikTok community. One of the young men from the UK, strapping fella, about 6'2", huge.
Okay.
He was in for the weekend. We got a lift in. He crushed me.
How old is this guy?
Oh, he's in his 20s. But
you know going in, right, that you can't do what you used to do. You're not Johnny Tryhard, are you?
Oh, no. I don't try to keep up. No, but even if I hadn't had the injury, or even when I was really going good when my son started and he was at his peak in the bodybuilding industry, I wouldn't have been able to do what this kid was doing. These guys are massive on the TikTok app. They make big time money. Like, let's put it this way.
Like, what's his bit? What is he just lifts?
No, his bid is
Posing?
nothing. They come on live and do the battles. They're creators.
Ah, okay.
But a lot of these guys and the girls, their spare time is in the gym or vacationing, or they're on holiday. Yeah. When we say we're on vacation,
3 days, right?
3 days.
No, this is my favorite thing about their holidays. Wow, amazing. Okay,
Yeah,
normally they're traveling the world. Europeans are traveling the world.
Yeah.
Australians.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, how long's your vacation? 3 weeks. You're like, 3 weeks?
Well, but here's the
crazy.
funny thing is he posted a picture because he was like, yeah, let's take a picture at the gym. He takes a picture, all the young lads and birds. Is that the right phrase? Birds? Is that a good phrase? Lads and lasses. They were commenting to him, no way, you got to meet Willie G. No, Matt. I'm like, yeah, it's really not a big deal. You just met some old hack.
I love this whole new world you've discovered on TikTok. And then the rest of us old heads are like, I watch. Obviously, I'm on TikTok a bunch. Not doing what you do. I don't do live videos, but I check out what everyone else is doing. But I have no idea of this whole world that you have delved into.
Yesterday, Steve, I was engaged with a arms up battle. Best 2 out of 3. Because last week I got roped into it. I was sitting in a restaurant after PT, a little breakfast bistro, and I went live. And somebody invites me in a battle. This kid TJ, he's a personal trainer. So he beats me like 1,000 to 600 points. And he says, let's do best 2 out of 3, but arms up, which means the first person to get to 500 points, the other side, you have to have your arms up and sit there until your team gets you in the lead. So he come in challenging me saying, okay, and I'm like, okay, his team's already in there. I had just come live. Smoked him last week. And I said, okay, we should do this every Tuesday, 5 p.m. your time, 9 a.m. my time. I come out of PT. I'll either be at the restaurant or at home. Yesterday, didn't even need best 2 out of 3, and I never had my arms in the air. We smoked them.
Wow.
We crushed them.
Look at you.
Yeah. Already did a live today, so it was really good. Anyway, that all being said, about the leg, last Thursday she measured the self-bending without her assisting. It was at 90 degrees, 91. 2 days ago, 99. So it's a slow grind to this process. Once you get to 90, it exponentially improves. So like now I'm hoping it'll keep going. I can finally pedal a bike all the way around. Believe it or not, that sounds crazy, like pedaling a bike. What? I can finally pedal a bike.
Well, considering where you are.
You're not frustrated.
For people who don't know, what the injury originally was what?
quad tendon rupture. It detached from the kneecap. And if anybody
nightmare.
isn't aware, just visualize this real quick. Your kneecap's in the middle of your leg, held together by two tendons, a patella tendon at the bottom, the quad tendon at the top. If either one of those snap, it's like a rubber band, like a slingshot, it sends the kneecap in the opposite direction, leaving a divot in your leg.
Oh, boy.
They reattached it. Yesterday was 17 weeks since surgery.
Damn.
So
Quick progress. Hadn't felt like that, but quick progress. Well, listen, life can be tough. Injuries suck. Day-to-day can be rough. Sometimes you go to the internet just to get some relief.
yeah.
And in your case, on TikTok, it's been good for you. If you're Angel Reese, the internet's like the last place you want to be, unless you know you're making money off it. And you got to see Angel Reese here in town. Atlanta Dream against the Aces. The Dream won kind of easily. There's a lot of storylines in the game that we can hit on. But Angel Reese went out and had 21 and 10. And then some of the first social media I saw today, when I saw the score, saw her performance, I'm like, yeah, good for her. She had a good game. And it's just like mocking on this, layup misses, mocking on this, mocking on this. I'm like, does it ever relent? Does it ever relent? She obviously was key in the game last night. She's putting together a season, an all-time season again, 4 rebounds. Listen, her one weakness, and it's been chronicled, she is not great finishing around the hoop, and I think a lot of it's because she goes so fast.
Yes.
She just wants to get the ball back up because she also gets blocked a lot. As I've said, she's an amazing rebounder. She's not really a great up-and-down athlete. If women could dunk, most of them, you would call her a below-the-rim big, and there's not many of those, but she's amazing with her space and carving out room and her instincts to get rebounds. She's just not a great finisher. I think she'll get there eventually, but my God, people just pile on her. So after a big win, and because she missed some key shots, and free throws and layups in the Fever game that I'm sure that everyone's all ready every time the Fever play against Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, and Angel Reese. So it was pretty miserable for the last couple of games. I saw that she said, "Hey, this is important for me and us to get this win."
100%. For her mentally, personally, it was good for her to have not just a pivotal role, but a key role, if not Ryan Howard led the Dream in scoring, but Angel Reese with her 23rd double-double against a person that she idolized.
It's like 37 games. She's had 23 double-doubles.
Yeah. She's talked about since day one when she was a rookie. I know I did a one-on-one with her when she was with the Sky, and she talked about A'ja Wilson. So to do it against A'ja in their house, the defending champs, was huge. Now, I say this, and of course people are going to go, well, yeah, of course she won. What if she lost? Yes, she was pleasant in the post-game press conference. But you know what? I also interviewed a couple of the Dream before the game. Spoke with Alicia Gray. Spoke with Jordan Canada. We spoke with Carl Smesko, the coach. This is a really good basketball team. And the one thing that I asked them all was, when you think about the big three in the WNBA, you automatically gravitate to Vegas, Minnesota, New York. New York, they lost to the Chicago Sky last night. They're going to be lucky to get out of the first round. Then everybody's talking about Dallas and Indiana because they want to see the Wings and they want to see the Fever, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, right? Why is everybody forgetting about the Atlanta Dream when this team was in first place early on in the season? It got to the top of a lot of power rankings. It has one of the most dangerous basketball players, one of the most talented, Steve. A few Olympians, by the way. Alicia Gray is arguably, she's probably a top 10 basketball player in the world, in the women's world. Okay, Ryan Howard, lethal, scorer. Angel Reese, like her or not, she's capable of physical, aggressive. You mentioned she moves too fast, but you know what? That erraticness sometimes works in their favor when she has people around her. And more than anything, and it was part of an article I wrote, 3 reasons why the Dream can win the championship. Jordan Canada. She comes in the league. She goes to Seattle. She's an LA native. She graduated from UCLA. She's won some championships with the Sue Bird, Breanna Stewart era. She's got experience, and she's always been one of the most dangerous defensive players in the league. So to come in and win the way that they did was very impressive. I asked A'ja about it, and she said, yeah, we didn't play the way that we could, but I'm not taking anything away from Atlanta tonight. That's a good basketball team.
Aces is now officially the 4th best record in the league. Caitlin Clark and the Fever actually moved ahead of them by half a game, 24-12. They're a game ahead in the loss column, and then the Dream are right on the Aces' heels. 22-13, officially one game behind. We'll get into the Liberty a little later in the show. But up next, let's get out to L.A., find out what's going on with the Lakers, because there's a whole lot of upheaval around Mark Walter and finding out more information about his financials, about the bus brawl with the 5 buses all piling on Genie Bus. Arash Markazai, LA Insider, Sporting Tribune on the way.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, crazy week with the Lakers. Obviously, it started last week with Mark Walter and the announcement that he was going to be moving the team to the Bob Iger, Josh Kushner group. But now we're finding more about Walter and his financials. And then I didn't even realize the Buses still had that much of a share of the team, but they had 17.8%, and they want to get out, except Genie doesn't want to get out. But Arash Markazai's been all over the story. Sporting Tribune here on this Wednesday with Willie and Cofield. Arash, this is nuts, man.
It's nuts. I mean, listen, it's for years been one of the great soap operas in sports, but even beyond sports. I mean, if they did a reality show on this, it would do amazingly well. But, you know, the moment that I heard that the Buss family was going to sell, I said, well, for sure Jeannie doesn't want to sell because she's the governor of the Lakers still and will be, as far as we know, for the next 5 years. But she is fired for 5 siblings. So if this is going to go to a majority vote, we know the 5 siblings are going to vote against her. So we'll see how this all plays out.
Yeah, so your immediate take a couple days ago was, hey, this is their chance to get back at her, and now they're sticking it to her. Have you gotten more follow-up on this? Do you still believe that, hey, this is just a vindictive action, or do they need the money? I mean, do they really believe this is the best thing to do, or it really is just going after Jeannie and trying to stick it to her?
I think it's a 2-for-1, and they both make sense. I mean, yes, it's a vindictive, but like they have nothing to do with the team anymore, Steve. So it's like there is no reason for them to keep these shares. These shares are worthless, to be honest, until they sell them. So you are cashing out $12.5 billion. So 17.8% of that divided by 6. You all can do the math, but it's like, now is the time to cash out. So, A, we can cash out at the highest valuation of any professional sports team in history. And B, in the process, by the way, more of a cherry on top than anything else, we get to fire and screw over our sister who fired us.
Right. Because it means something to her. I mean, that's really what they're pulling from her, right?
100%. And again, the reason that the percentage is important, Steve, is that you need to own at least 15% to be the governor of the team. Now, the important part here, that the other part of this that we really don't know the full details, this was a part of the agreement from the Buss family, the sale to Mark Walter, that Jeannie Buss would remain on as governor for at least 5 years. Now, does that agreement transfer from Mark Walter to Bob Iger and Josh Kushner? We have not gotten definitive confirmation on that. That is actually like the most important part of the story, because if Kushner and Bob Iger have the ability to tell Jeannie, hey, listen, with all due respect, you're no longer the governor of the team, it doesn't really matter if the Buss family retains 17.8%. It does not. So that's the biggest reason she wants to keep that percentage, is to remain the governor of the Lakers.
Well, for me, if I'm a Laker fan, I see what's going on here with this Mark Walter guy, right? So now I'm like, how the hell did he even get the team? I don't trust him. I immediately don't trust the next group of billionaires, if they're even really billionaires, which we'll get to, maybe the money behind Iger and Kushner. If I'm a Laker fan, I'm actually a little bit mad at Johnny and Jimmy, who I don't think ever really cared about the Lakers and are buffoons, and the whole group, I think. Well, I don't want to say the whole group, but in a lot of ways, they just want the money and they want to live off Dad's money. Like, I need Jeannie in there as a Lakers fan, as a steward of respectability, to make sure that the Lakers aren't mistreated, aren't pushed to the side, aren't screwed over by this new ownership group. Is my thinking flawed?
It's a little flawed, because I think the new ownership group, from what I've been told, like, they want to get out of like the Buss family drama. They want to get out of the Buss family business. I mean, again, you go to the board of governor meetings. If you were to sit in on one, it's the majority owners. It's Steve Ballmer. It's Joe Tsai. It's Joe Lacob. It's the owners of the team. It was an odd agreement that was made from Mark Walter to Jeannie Buss, but it made sense on 2 fronts. A, Mark Walter has never been a front-facing guy. We've never really seen him in Los Angeles. He lives in Chicago. So the fact that he wouldn't want to be Part of that makes sense. But the other thing is you did want, in that sale, you needed Jeannie's blessing. And so Jeannie wanted to remain as the governor. So in order for her to complete this transaction, part of that agreement was like, hey, you will remain on for a minimum of 5 years. Who knows? It might be more than that. I just don't think that Bob Iger and Josh Kushner want that or need that. And if you're Bob Iger, you're 75 years old. You've always wanted to own a major professional sports team. He was a part of the group that tried to get the Chargers back to L.A., the Raiders in Carson. Like, he's been trying to do this for years. Like, you do not put together a $12.5 billion purchase to sit on the sidelines and let Jeannie Buss do what she's done for the past, 12 to 15 years.
Speaking with Arash Markazai, Sporting Tribune. Now, Arash, sort of a two-parter here. I mean, in the meantime, they're leaking allegations to Baxter, Holm, and Shams. I want to know your thoughts on that, but even more so, who's leaking it to the producers of Running Point? And are we going to see a season 3 storyline with Kate Hudson? Because in a lot of regard, and I'm semi-kidding, tongue-in-cheek, but they're saying that particular show has a little bit to do with the buses.
Listen, as long as Willie is playing a media member in season 3 of Running Point, that's the only thing that matters to me. But the drama that's playing out is far crazier than anything that's on the show. I mean, that show is a comedy. It's fun. It's a good watch. I've enjoyed it. This is a dark version of Succession on HBO where, like, Jeannie is ruthlessly firing her siblings, all 5 guys. I forgot the Jeannie component because Jeannie was never part of the basketball or the business side. She always did charitable work, community affairs, or whatever. I forgot she fired Jeannie, too. So, I mean, the reason that the vote was 5-1 is she has fired all 5 siblings. So, listen, the Buss siblings, the 5 who voted for the sale, they have a lot to gain by making Jeannie look bad, by completing the purchase of the sale. And again, the most important thing to note here, they've been kicked out. They've been fired. They have nothing to do with the team anymore. So they have every reason to cash out. And by the way, who would not want to cash out on a $12.5 billion purchase? But also the cherry on top, you screw over and you fire your sister in the process.
Arash is with us. So Willie mentioned claims of leaks to guys like Baxter Holmes and Shams. And one of the stories was alleging that, hey, Jimmy did his best to muddy the pond, and then that got LeBron and company all pissed off. Do you think it's that deep that the Buss brothers screwed over the relationship with Jeannie and LeBron and were kind of stretching the truth a little bit, and that ended that relationship?
Listen, it could have. From everything that I've been told, that relationship was fine until the Luka trade happened. The Luka trade just completely changed the dynamics of that team. Prior to the Luka trade, this was LeBron's team. This was, Clutch's team. They basically got to do whatever they wanted. That changed the moment Luka came into the building. Now, they were very respectful of LeBron. Listen, I mean, they really did go as far as drafting his son, right, who had never really done anything to get drafted, and he was obviously close friends with J.J. Redick, his podcast partner. So this was LeBron's team. So I don't know to the extent they muddied the water, but I do know when Luka came, this no longer became his team. They no longer went to him for, like, hey, what do you think of this trade? What do you think of that transaction? Like this, and he didn't like that. And so, listen, he's at the end of his career. That's the other thing about LeBron. I mean, it's an amazing run that he's had. He's not going to be running the show in Philadelphia, but, like, he needed to leave Los Angeles regardless of all of this drama.
As if the bus brawl wasn't enough around the Lakers, Walter is a big story unto his own. We don't know what's going to happen with his other big property, the Dodgers. Like, what are you hearing on his financial troubles? Listen, we're not experts in this field, but, I mean, we're seeing more and more stories. He was, robbing Peter to pay Paul. I mean, how much trouble could he be in? We hear about the Dodgers' debt. I mean, I'm getting real leery. I don't want to say he's, I think he's wealthy. I don't think he's Frank McCourt, but like it's starting to have a feeling like that. Like, how the hell did baseball and the NBA let this guy in?
Yeah, the moment, speaking of leaks, I mean, the moment that this began to feel like Frank McCourt is the leak that came out, I think it was this morning or late last night, that he tried to get out of their sweetheart spectrum deals where it's like, give me a lump sum up front and we'll break the deal. And it's like, one of the biggest competitive advantages of the Dodgers and the Lakers, but especially the Dodgers have, are their regional sports network deals and their long-term contracts with Spectrum. The fact that Mark Walter tried to break that and basically say, hey, I know you guys owe us this much, just give me this much and we'll call it a day, like, wild. And so that's when it's very clear at this moment that he's in trouble, he needs money, and if the reports are true that he needs $20 billion, as big as that Lakers sale was, it's not enough, which is why he's selling his minority share of Chelsea. And it's why, regardless of what anyone says, and I know they might not be on the market today, but the Lakers were not on the market 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. If you've always wanted to own the Los Angeles Dodgers and you have the means, and when I say means, like you can offer him $10 billion. So what, you're Stan Kroenke, you're Steve Ballmer, you're Patrick Soon-Shiong, like, the Dodgers can be had right now. At the right price, I would not doubt that Mark Walter would at least should sell his shares of the Dodgers.
The funny thing is he's getting kind of a rash of crap right now, even though they're still having a relatively good season, but the Dodgers have been in this free fall. The guy who's probably happiest about Mark Walter and all the distractions that way is Kyle Tucker, who's been hearing it. Bro, I do have to – I mean, we're kind of picking at straws here, whatever. Kyle Tucker has to be the biggest bust in Dodger history. We're already there after like 110 games.
Yeah, you got to factor in, because I got a lot of pushback, and I'm like, okay, listen, like we could debate things, but if you want to compare contract versus production, I don't think it's particularly close. And by the way, you go to the off season, right? And it's like they're the back-to-back defending champions or the heavy favorites to three-peat. They go out and get Edwin Diaz. They go out and get Kyle Tucker. I mean, these are like slam dunk, like amazing signings. You get your lockdown closer, you get your outfielder. Like, both of them have been an absolute disaster. Like, to the point where like no one really wants to see them on the field again this season. But Tucker, it's gone to the complete spectrum of like he sucks. Get him off the field to like I feel bad for the guy. Obviously, there's something going on. Like, he needs not just a day off. I think he might need a week off. He might need some time off. Like, you feel bad for a perennial all-star player whose nickname was King Tuck, just looking like just a below-average player. So, don't know what's happening there. Again, the Dodgers are within striking distance. I remember talking to you guys a year ago around this time where the Dodgers were a wild card team. They didn't have home field advantage in any series they were in. They didn't have a closer. They didn't have a bullpen. And they found a way to win. So again, whether it's a false sense of security or not, I'm not thinking like the season's over. This team cannot win it. But it is surprising on paper that this team is struggling as mightily as they are, because they have looked awful since July 1st.
I saw one Baseball Insider say that they had talked to an executive when the deal was signed by Kyle Tucker, and that executive said it's going to be a disaster. The biggest reason is that Kyle Tucker does not care about baseball, has zero passion. Had you heard that at all over the last couple of months? I also think he's a very laid-back guy, but that doesn't help your cause when people think after you sign a mega deal that you don't even care about the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know him well enough. I talked to him in the clubhouse. I've seen him from afar. There is this sort of feeling of like he's not as into it as some of the other players are in the clubhouse. I don't know him well enough but you could tell like there is a care factor. If you got to this point in your career as a professional athlete, there's no doubt that you do not want to embarrass yourself to this degree. Now, he was never going to live up to that contract, Steve. It was an absurd contract. The Dodgers at that point were like, we're already going into a lockout. Who cares? Like let's just go for the moon and sign this guy. But no matter what kind of a disaster you thought it was going to be, it has to be worse than anyone thought or predicted. This is crazy.
I'm watching your tweet where you have the fly ball that he dropped over and over and over again. It gets more painful each time. And again, I'll read what you said. Kyle Tucker has to be the biggest bust signing in Dodger history. You got 113,000 views on this, 180 comments so far. The first name I thought of for the biggest bust in Dodger history with a signing was Darren Dreifert. Were there some other names where people were like, you are wrong, it's this person?
It's like Andrew Jones, and if you want to go back to back in the day, like Darryl Strawberry or whatever. But I mean, the point is this guy is the highest paid by season, so not the totality of the contract. He's the highest paid player. He's getting paid more this season than Shohei Ohtani. So it's the what makes it the worst, because again, if someone were to sign on a 1-year, $2 million contract and be poor, who cares? But he signed this historically large, short-term, thankfully for the Dodgers, but contract. And so, again, when you do this the Venn diagram of how much he's being paid and what his production is, in my view, it has to be the worst. And I don't think it's particularly close.
I'll just wait for Tariq Schoolball's hold my beer moment.
There we go. We'll see about that.
How he's done. But listen, this is a long season, and I think we've talked about this annually when it comes to baseball. Teams like this, they're just waiting for the playoffs to get into motion. The Dodgers are going to show up. You and I both know that, and we'll be cheersing wines over at Screezy over a third straight championship.
I'll bet against both of you guys on this. I don't think they're just going to show up, and I highly doubt that the pitching is going to be ready or healthy at the time. So we have a lot more Dodger arguing we can do. Arash, we're up against it here. I appreciate your time today. So does Willie. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks.
Sorry, I didn't mean to rush it, but we're going to go out to Houston and talk to Brandy Flores, our LVSN reporter, in less than 10 minutes. But, yeah, there's a lot on the Dodgers we can hit on. It's not been a good run right now. And, yeah, they have to get healthy. Snell is back, but now Diaz is hurt. I don't know what their pitching staff is going to look like. And if that's what everyone is leaning on, good luck. It could be a mess in 5 weeks.
Now back to Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, rolling out here on this Wednesday. Battle-born injury lawyers, 766-1400 is a call from anywhere in the state of Nevada number. All right, Willie, you're working for Ball is Life, and I know you're doing a lot more football content now. I thought this was all about basketball, but now does Ball is Life have an offshoot? We got a couple minutes here.
Yeah, Team FB7 doing a lot of stuff, a lot of content, a lot of cool content that I really you read it, right? Every season we read different media outlets and these offshoot sites that are considered aggregate sites. And to be a part of one that is authentic and the content that they put out is fresh and organic has been really fun. So, right now we're working on divisions, win totals, going through each one. Some of them are calling it the AFC South Blitz. Mine's AFC South win totals, so I'm going through and projecting win totals for each one, or just saying over or under. And then if it's not on the bets, if it's not on Ball is Life bets, a lot less stats and analytics, where it's more analysis and topic-oriented, whereas on Ball is Life bets, there's stats and trends and analytics as to why you would pick. So, for today, the AFC South win totals were up for each team. Then on Ball is Life bets, the betting portion, I did the NFC East, where you mentioned the favorite, you mentioned your sleeper, and you predict who's going to win it with a little more to the analytics side. But a lot of things happen, a lot of good things happening with this site, and they're about to expand. So teamfb7.com, definitely want to check that out because there's a ton of content. And if you're looking to a way to invest and play some games and just an added source of information, it could sway you one way or the other.
Raiders had an off day today. Brandy Flores and Q Myers are down covering the scene in Houston. They were at the joint practice yesterday. Tomorrow is the preseason game against the Texans. I think they did their rookie talent show. They did it out and about, and Fernando Mendoza was caught on video singing a song. Wait until you hear what song he chose.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
Let's go down to Houston and get ready for tomorrow's preseason game of the Raiders and the Texans. Yesterday, of course, lots to report on. Lots was seen by Brandy Flores at the joint practice. Brandy, how are you?
I'm good, Steve. How you guys doing?
How has Houston been? Q came on yesterday and said it's hot as Hades and everyone was sweating bullets.
Yes, can confirm that is the case. It was 83% humidity at training camp yesterday. And yeah, it was tough. It's been a minute since I've been in that level of humidity, but luckily because I had been before, I was mentally and physically prepared. Just got to drink a lot of water and wear things that don't look like you're sweating 1,000 buckets. So mission accomplished, I would say.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go. The one thing I hate the most about the humidity is my hair. It frizzes out on me. So better you than me.
Well, and that's why, I mean, if you guys didn't see my recap video, it was all pulled back because I couldn't risk that either, Willie. So I feel you on that.
So let's start with the joint practices, and I know we're here to talk about the Raiders, but real quick, they are playing the Texans. Now, have they switched gears? Have they switched gears in terms of who they're playing because of losing Higgins for the season? I thought I heard earlier this morning they've shifted from some offensive starters are expected to play to none of them.
So for your
Against
thing
the
for the
Raiders.
Texans, right? Yes. So, well, we don't know the exact reason on why they decided to switch things up. I do think that injury, which is a torn ACL, unfortunately for him, I didn't see it, but from what I heard from other reporters, is basically it was during 11-on-11s or during the team period. He kind of fell down awkwardly in the end zone area. So unfortunately, that kind of ends that for him. And after that decision was made and all those reports came out. So I would say probably maybe they're a little bit nervous, but I mean, obviously he was an offensive guy who got hurt. The defense looked fantastic, I would say, the Texans defense against the Raiders. So maybe that was another indication like, okay, show what you need to do. You don't need to play. And then also, you know what? Just a reminder, let's not risk any more injury than we have to because the Texans defense is going to be, if not one of the top 3 in the NFL this season.
Brandy Flores on the road working with Raider Nation Radio 920 and LV Sports Network. So I want to go over the joint practice a little bit using your recap video yesterday. And one of the things I noticed you said, and this was an observation Q made as well, the run defense was not very good. You did talk to some of the defenders. Nakobe Dean talked about what? The process of improving?
Well, you got to remember, too, and Raiders fans, I would encourage you to try to remember this as much as possible. It's a brand new team. Yes, Robbie Leonard was there before as a defensive line coach, but now he's the DC. Nothing's really shifted there as far as his mindset, but he brought in a lot of new guys, a lot of different coaches. Who knows what we're going to see when, week 1 comes around and how they're going to attack defenses. We know it's a 3-4 defense, but they're still trying to fit all the pieces together, especially for a guy like Nakobe Dean, bringing in Quay Walker and a couple pieces on the secondary as well, not including the rookies, but of course Taron Johnson, who they got from the Bills in the secondary, and then they're utilizing Jeremy Chin a different way as well. And so a lot of it's still fairly new, not to say that, what have they been working on this whole time? Shouldn't they be ready? Well, yes, but to go up against a team like the Texans, who are a very, very good team. They were contenders last year. If we're being quite honest, it was just at the very, very end, things kind of fell apart for them. But going into this year, definitely a top 5 team. I would say, especially defensively in the league. And then on offense yesterday, they looked really great. They just had 0 issues running the ball. And with the coach team, basically, like as you mentioned, the recap video I had put in that soundbite of him saying, well, we're working on it. We're not where we are yet. We're working on it, which, he kind of said it with a smile because he knows what happened with the run defense. He was there watching everybody get locked up and their running back just run right past everybody. So I think it is definitely going to be a work in progress. That's kind of the tale of this year. That's not to say that this team and these players want to fix as many mistakes as they can now heading into week 1. But yeah, it's definitely work in progress for sure. And I think going up against a team like the Houston Texans, both on offense and defense for the Raiders, kind of showed them, okay, look how far we need to go still, which is not a bad thing. This team's trying to figure out, after only going up against each other for about 4 weeks now, they're trying to figure out how they're going to get to that next level, how they're going to get that jump. What are they missing? What do they need to do, especially personnel-wise? And so I think that was a big telltale sign that we're going to see more of it on Thursday as well.
Brandy Flores with us. Kubiak likes to keep it pretty close to the vest in terms of admitting who he's going to play, if the ones are going to play. The interesting thing on the offensive line for the Raiders, I still think a lot of the one positions are unsettled. Obviously, Miller and Linderbaum are set at 2 of the positions. So I don't know if they have the luxury tomorrow of going, hey, we're not going to play the ones, because they don't know who the ones are. They got to keep these races going. They got to have these guys challenging for playing time.
Well, I will say Jackson Powers Johnson, we're likely, by the way, to not see him on Thursday. He made the trip to Houston with the team, but he left practice early on Monday in the middle of practice. He kind of went down during a team period, popped right back up, and then went back into the building. We don't know. They won't tell us, obviously, what his situation is. They're still evaluating him, but Kubiak made it very clear that we're likely to not see him on Thursday. But if JPJ was playing, so before that, if JPJ was playing, he would definitely be right there at that right guard position. And right now it's between him and Caleb Rogers, but they keep placing JPJ out there at right guard when they put out the ones. And so I think that JPJ, it's unfortunate that this time, the timing of this injury, because now that does give Caleb Rogers an extra edge. Also, the rookie, Trey Zune, he's been kind of everywhere. They've been plugging him in different places. I will say, don't go by the depth chart, because right now the depth chart, I believe, has Caleb Rogers behind Spencer Burford on left guard. We've hardly ever seen Caleb Rogers play left guard at practice, if ever, that I can remember. So I think that's just to throw everybody else off. But Spencer Burford, he's a guy that he's done really well at practice, and he is very familiar, especially working with Kubiak before, and the blocking scheme that they want to accomplish here for the Raiders. So he's been doing a good job, especially being more comfortable with what they're trying to do. So right now he's out there, and I think it's, again, his job to lose. But Colton Miller, as you said, and Tyler Linderbaum are right there. And then DJ Glaze has the right top spot pretty locked up. We haven't seen too much shifting around with him either. But Coach makes it very, very clear, every single one of these coaches, that he wants to put guys against each other. He wants them to push each other to get better, and to know that, like, hey, you're not safe. So you got to work harder to be better, and that ultimately makes the team better to really, quote unquote, earn your spot.
Speaking with Brandy Flores, representing Las Vegas Sports Network down in Houston, tomorrow's preseason game, Raiders and Texas, joining here on Cofield and Company. Brandy, last week we saw Cousins and Max getting a little bit of a shoving match. Did Kirk get upset at the Texans and lay down the law, don't touch my arm?
It wasn't as aggressive. I didn't see it, but he talked about it afterwards. Basically, he said, like, he had to remind the Texans, like, hey, like, you know, you can hit me anywhere else. Like, obviously, it's joint practice. Both teams are excited to go up against anybody else besides their own teammates. And so the intensity is ramped up. You can get a little bit more physical in these joint practices as well. But from what Kirk had told us, he had just reminded everybody, like, and the Texans, he said that he had let them know, like, hey, hit me wherever you want. Just don't hit my arm. Because then what's the point of wearing this red jersey, this no-contact jersey, right? Like, and he has a point. But to my understanding, he just kind of told them, and maybe he was a little frustrated if they did hit his arm. But it wasn't as big, I will say, as Max versus Kirk. That was there for that one at practice. I've been at every practice, but that was pretty. It was very. I would have never, ever in a million years expected Kirk Cousins to press Max like that, but it was quite entertaining. But you could tell, like, it definitely, especially for a veteran in this league who's been through so many practices, joint practices, injuries. You know, at this point, him being older as well, I got to protect this arm. So please hit me anywhere else but this arm, because that's what he has. So, I mean, I think that to his point, why wear the red contact jersey, right?
I think
red no contact jersey, excuse me.
Right, yeah. I think everybody came away with the same assessment after Fernando Mendoza's post-game press conference last week, and that was him stepping up and taking accountability, even though he's in for just 4 drives, and saying, I have to be better for the team, but then also the excitability. What have you noticed in him involving himself in his first ever joint practice, now getting ready for his first road preseason game?
Well, this was the first time we saw a lot of action with him with the ones, except for that practice that Kirk had set out. So Fernando got all the time with the ones, but this one was especially important because they're going up against a different team. And during warm-ups, he was also working with the ones as well. So they're setting him up to really push Kirk and keep, pressure on him. As Coach says, it's Kirk's job to lose. And Fernando, I think what stood out the most was his ability to be comfortable leading the team. Obviously, they went up against a very tough Texans defense. I think everybody talks about their defensive line. The entire defense was great. And so for him to not get too down on himself when he did make mistakes, or even when he did have that turnover, which would have likely been a pick six, the safety just read it perfectly and picked off Fernando and a target to, I believe it was Ashton Genty. And so even after that, he talked about how, that, of course, I'm going to learn about it. It's in the past, but I can't let that burden me, because then if I do, it's not fair to my teammates. And as the quarterback of a team, you are the leader. When you're in the thick of it, game's down to the wire, you need to score, you need to get downfield, you make a little mistake or what have you, you need that guy to be your rock, somebody that you could lean on, to count on, to be poised. And he already has that. And he's a rookie. And he's out there with these veterans going up against a great veteran defense as well in the Texans. And so that's really what stood out to me. He made a lot of great plays. It was a really nice, about 25-yard pass that he had to Brock Bowers down the sideline, which is a perfect throw. And so I think that is what stands out the most to me when we talk about Fernando and his evolution as a rookie in this league. You want him to be excited to have these opportunities at the joint practices. And after in the press conference, Kirk, if you heard what he said, his demeanor, and even Coach Kubiak was kind of like, they didn't do what they wanted to do because obviously they went up against the other team, and they're like, okay, this is what we're matched up against. We have so much more work to do. Fernando was excited, and I will say it is a pleasure speaking with him when we get to, because he is just so positive, and it's really not a bit, you guys. He is that genuine. He is genuinely happy and excited for every opportunity, but he kept talking about the whole press conference, how excited he was to have all, the experience that he did, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because he's like, I can't wait to go look at it and study it and get better. That's what you want from any student of any game.
Brandy Flores with us. Okay, we got like 45 seconds left. I do think he does need to practice, though. Keep that positive attitude after I've seen his karaoke video that just came out. It was out like 20 hours ago. He was at the Rustic in Houston. It looked like it's the rookie music challenge. He chose John Denver and Country Roads. Have you watched this video? Because there's actually a lot of Raiders fans defending him.
I have seen it. I'm not a country person myself, so people were getting on him for looking up the lyrics. Maybe they told him to sing that song. Coach Kubiak loves country music, and I think all the rookies, from what I could hear, were singing country music. So I think that's why maybe they were doing it. I have no idea. I am just throwing out a wild guess, but I'm not mad at him for having to look up the lyrics to the Country Road song, because I only know the first part of the hook, and that's it. So
yeah, a lot of people said that's a really old song. He's also Latino. When the hell were they going to be playing John Denver, Take Me Home, Country Roads in his house? So A for effort.
Not
A
in
for
Miami.
effort.
Definitely, I'll tell you that. I'm not from Miami, but I know in Miami they were not listening to that.
All right, 20 seconds left. Do you ever do karaoke? Do you have a go-to artist or song?
Yes, I do love karaoke. I've done a lot of different things. My favorite karaoke song, I have to always request it. It's Miss Me by Drake. I don't even need the lyrics.
Ooh.
I don't.
Impressive.
I don't.
Impressive. All right. Well, maybe we'll have that teed up down the road when you come on again. We'll have to play some Drake.
Please, I would love that. I would love to do that for you all.
Brandy, enjoy the rest of the time in H-Town. We appreciate the information, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, I think people are real tough guys up on social media when it comes to karaoke and talent contest. Because when you have to get up in front of an audience, and this was not a karaoke setup, so the lyrics are not there. It's like there's big screens. That does make it a lot easier. It can be nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Not for me, but,
You're not a karaoke guy, right?
I love karaoke. I can't really sing, but I have
So you're not on Devil Dave's level.
No, you mentioned a Lotus Holiday Party. We have some amazing people in the past. They're great, great, great. I missed that party. I would have done it, though.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, here we go. 4 o'clock hour. It is the Battleborn Hour, ESPN Reno. You heard it. 766-1400 is the call from anywhere in the state of Nevada number. We were just finishing up mentioning karaoke because, not that he was doing karaoke, but Fernando Mendoza was doing the rookie talent contest. I think they were at the Rustic in Houston, and so he's up there, and he was trying to do John Denver, Take Me Home, Country Roads. And the guy who tweeted it out is actually Sam Warren. I don't know where Sam is from. I know he went to Syracuse, but was a walk-on receiver there, and Sam said something like, please tell me he's not looking at his phone for the lyrics. And, like, Raiders fans are very protective already of Fernando Mendoza. But a lot of people pointed out, like, dude, that's an old song. Like,
yes.
He's 23 years old or 22 years old. He might have no idea what it is.
Yeah, and there's some, I don't know, verses in there probably that I'd want a little clarification on just to make sure I get it right. I'm not just humming along with the beat. And when you're doing karaoke or karaoke-like, you might get nervous. You don't want to mess up the words. I got no problem with that. And I'm no Raider loyalist. So
No, not at all.
So I think it's fine. Okay for Fernando.
We got some crazy stuff to get into. You are the king now of talking about on local radio, every market, talking about the transfer portal and NIL and eligibility ruling. So UNLV had a big deal yesterday. They landed a kid named AJ Storr, who's at his 5th school in 5 years. I don't even know specifically where is he using, what case is he using. I can't keep track anymore. There's so many different states. There's a Colorado, California,
There's
Ohio,
a New York case.
Virginia, New York, Texas. So he believes he's cleared.
I believe so too.
And UNLV believes he's cleared.
Yep.
So they landed him yesterday. I'll give you more details from what I've heard, but this is a guy who averaged 15 points a game at Ole Miss, about 17 a game at Wisconsin, was a second-team All-Big Ten player about 3 years ago, prepped here in Vegas for here at Bishop Gorman. It's a good get. And Pastner even told us on Monday, he was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do, these court cases. Does this look good moving forward?
It looks great moving forward, but I would just, if I'm the athletic director or I'm the president of the university, I say get aggressive on this stuff. Go for it. Go for it. It's how we level the playing field, but I have to be able to have access to either funds or attorneys who are going to represent the kid in this case, because they can't represent themselves. They're not going to. Well, I mean, they can. They can. They might be able to find an attorney to do so, but the school has to be on board. So, from my perspective, a 5-5 kid, I don't care. I don't care if they're in the transfer portal, if they missed the window for the transfer portal or not, and you want them, go get them. Go get them, because there is enough case precedent that you can rely on to reasonably say we're going to win this. I think there are currently rulings that you can rely on to say we are good. I saw the New York case just came out and basically said, yeah, the transfer portal is make-believe. So you can't stop a kid from enrolling and transferring whenever they want. And of course, the NCAA is going to appeal that ruling a lot, like they've appealed Colorado, California, and Ohio rulings about 5-5. But they're not going to win these. They're not going to. And by the time, I don't even understand why they're fighting it, to be honest with you, because by the time they even get to a briefing on this, before they get to a ruling on this, the 5-5 for this class, which they inexplicably left out of their new rule, is going to be done. So they're just wasting resources. Now, they might say, we have good reason to fight this transfer portal case because that has implications moving forward, to which I agree. The problem is they're going to lose that. They're going to lose that case because it is an antitrust violation. They are trying to regulate the free market and the free moving of labor between competing interests without having the market, the workers being represented in consent. Yep. They have not collectively bargained. So they're going to lose the case. And I don't, at this point, I don't even know. They don't have a friendly region they can go to. They don't have.
That's what I was saying. They're every state, every type of state.
Yes.
They're all saying this is hogwash. And I love that this latest round is the transfer portal and restricting kids transferring is bunk.
It is bunk.
It is absolutely not legal. And the funny thing is there are so many fans who are mad at the kids. Mm-hmm. Be mad at the NCAA and the presidents and the conferences for doing what they've been doing. You would not like to be treated this way as an employee.
Of course.
It's not right. It's un-American.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't see there being transfer portals for coaches. You don't see transfer portals for presidents or ADs
professors.
or none of that. You don't see any of that, and nor would they stand for it. And So why do they think it's different for these kids who actually probably are worth more money to the university than many of the people we just talked about?
100%.
You know, so it's the transfer portal above all else that's currently, you know, I'll put air quotes, undecided, is the most egregious of the antitrust violation fights that's still out there. Like, they will not win that fight.
Can I give you one touche?
Okay?
Could the NCAA decide, you know what? We're going to make life miserable for one school. We're going to drag it out. We are going to stick it to one school. And you know what? Here's behind the scenes. We're not going to do it to a Power 4 because we never do that.
Right. I mean,
Could UNLV be held up as an example? You think there are people in the NCAA who are old enough to remember, like, that son of a bitch, Tark?
yeah.
Let's get him again!
So you're talking about like getting into the NCAA tournament or seedings or college football playoff.
Did you see the
Yes.
tweet I sent you? Let me read
Yes.
this to the audience, and I don't know if Willie saw this, but Jeff Goodman, I love that someone actually said this to him and gave permission to use it off the record, which is amazing. But, yeah, Jeff Goodman tweeted out that, hey, one member, and Jeff covers college basketball heavily, one member of the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee told me the NCAA may not be able to threaten teams that use players deemed ineligible by the NCAA, but I can penalize them, and so can other committee members if they want, whether it's by seeding or not even including them in the field. Mm-hmm. And people went crazy.
Yeah.
And again, these are the people who are the power brokers that you side with all the time, and you're like, these kids. No, it's scumbags like this.
Yep. And guess what?
Threatening what? How dare you?
Without a quote like that, the selection committee, I would say, might be immune to legal challenges. They might be immune because they are not the ones who are setting the rules across the board. But when you have a quote like that, then you can go into court and you could say they are acting as an agent of the NCAA. They are not this independent committee, and they are actually doing the work that the NCAA cannot do legally anymore for them, and therefore we can sue them. So now guess what? Guess what? I guarantee you, in the next, we'll call it 5 years, maybe this year,
Yep.
a school's going to sue for not being included in the tournament. They will.
Yeah, thanks, brother.
Yep.
I'm assuming it was a guy, not a female, but I could be wrong.
Kind of reminds me of that comment from Goodman. Reminds me of the scene in All the Right Moves, right, with Tom Cruise, I believe 1983, and Cruise leaves the coffee shop, and Nickerson, Craig T. Nelson's character, comes out, and Tom Cruise looks at him. He says, "You just pick who you want to go to school. You scholarship here, scholarship there. No, you're not going." And he looks at me, goes, "Nickerson, you are not God." And that's how these athletes probably feel at times, where they're just being.
That's the way it used to be.
Yep.
Kind of is to a certain extent. By the way, of all 80s movies that made a mark, I love that movie.
Never seen it.
Oh my God, you
it's
got
a
to
great
watch
movie.
it. It's unbelievable.
It's like a Steel Town high school football story. And
It might actually be one of the reasons that I came to Vegas.
Wow.
It sounds weird. Well, it made this impression on me. And by the way, my 30th anniversary of coming out here, what's today, the 19th?
Yeah.
Yep.
Is 7 days from now.
Okay.
boy.
And because the big theme of that movie was these people are stuck.
Yeah,
They are stuck. And like from there forward, I was like, I'm never going to be stuck.
Right.
So if I got to move 3,000 miles away,
To
and I
prove
got to
that
be
you're
away
not
from,
stuck.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go do what I want. If I want to go do radio and it takes going to I don't know Vegas, I'm doing it.
I want to be on next Wednesday, Justin.
Yeah.
You got a 7-day project. I want you to watch the
Nah.
movie, come back with a report.
Okay, you got it.
That always works. By the way, that always works on this show where we always follow
It's
through.
on Prime right now. There you go. Free
Okay,
plug.
yeah, I'm on it.
Okay,
I'll watch it.
so
I'll watch it.
let's go back to the original story with AJ Storr.
Yeah.
What's your impression of this? Because I think you know what? I was actually surprised. Most of social media, even though the kid's been at like 9 schools in 9 years, most of it was pretty congratulatory and like, hey, good for him if he wants to play, and good for UNLV. They got a really good player.
I agree. Yeah, good. I mean, I'm not faulting any of these schools for doing any of this stuff. You know, like go get them. And until the NCAA can humble itself enough to actually start talking about solutions rather than trying to go to, I'll say, mom and dad in Congress to try to solve the problem that they created. Remember, the United States Supreme Court said they created this industry. It was not a business and industry before they profiteered it. So NCAA created the problem. They boogeyman the kids and say these gritty kids are the problem and we need rules. Otherwise, these kids are going to go crazy. Really, they can't even get their member schools to follow their own rules that they've set, right? So I'm all for, hey, be aggressive.
Yep.
I want my schools as aggressive. I want my school to be acting like Texas Tech.
We've been saying this the whole time.
Yeah.
Why aren't both Nevada schools acting like hyper aggressive? Let's
Well,
go.
you got to have money, though. You got to have money to be hyper aggressive.
Do you?
Yeah, I think you do.
Actually, in this case,
I do. I think you need attorneys for the kid.
But okay, that part. But in this case, there's going to be a flood of players coming to the market. People don't have roster spots anymore, and they don't necessarily have money budgeted for this. You know, the interesting thing about AJ Storr is that he rose to prominence because he was one of those guys who was bouncing school to school. It went public. I think Kansas leaked it on him. It went public that he asked for $1 million from Kansas, and they had countered with $750. Eventually, he did commit there.
Yep.
UNLV is not paying anywhere close to $750.
Great. Even better.
They have gotten.
Go get a whole team of 5 and 5.
They moved, and this is my. But this again goes back to my point of, and it's mostly group of 6 level. But you can be creative. You can be hyper aggressive. You can pick your spots, and you don't have to have a $22 million budget in basketball or a $40 million budget in football. It's not easy, but it can be done. So that's why I have zero tolerance for coaches who are like with the whining all the time.
The tough part about it, too, is, I don't think we have the personalities, and it's not a criticism that they're not good for the universities, but I don't think we have the personalities at both the Nevada, Division I schools that would go to the legislature and be like, here's what we want the Nevada state laws to say. Here's what we want to be super aggressive.
Ooh.
Here's how we want it framed.
I think you're wrong.
I
think Passner would do it.
No. He's in charge. That's not enough.
Oh, you're talking AD?
I'm talking presidents and ADs.
Okay,
right?
interesting.
Because no president,
40 seconds.
No president's going to let their basketball coach dictate that. They're not going to.
So it has to be leaders of the university.
I think it has to be leaders of the university,
Okay.
and we got good leaders of the university. I'm not being critical of them, but I think they're more cautious and not.
Of all people who could do it, Sandoval couldn't do it.
He's not. That's not his personality.
Come on,
that's not his personality.
He should be leading the charge. This
agree.
is about the state.
He's
a former public servant.
He's great for UNR. He really is. I really think he's a top-notch person.
He'd be so tremendous at
I
this.
know. He could be super aggressive and he'd understand the nuances of the law. I mean, better than anybody. He was a federal judge.
Hold that thought, Willie. Yeah. So on the way back, we'll continue on this. We do have to get to the latest news with improvements around Allegiant Stadium, and the Raiders are looking for money. Justin Watkins is here with us, former public servant, of course, here at Battleborn Injury Lawyer, 766-1400.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
Justin Watkins is here with us. It's his building, his office, Battleborn Injury Lawyer, 766-1400. Is the number. I got to make a quick mention before we get to some of the Raiders stuff, which people are getting worked up over. Again, you have a whole new ad campaign out there. I think it is. I see it all over social media. I see the new billboards. I don't know what it is. It's so weird. Your billboards are placed exactly where I drive. I don't know how you guys have nailed it. I'm not the client you want to get. I think there's one near DI and Valley View, and I was coming through DI, and I looked up, and I was like, what is going on with Justin? He looks so tough. He looks so stern. And then I mentioned yesterday to Von Tobel, I don't know if you guys do this. You ever stare at a billboard in someone's eyes and you're like, they're following me? Yeah. You were on my left, and I was like, he won't stop looking at me.
Oh, my God.
He's very mean and tough now. You getting feedback on this?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you know me, then, you know that most of the time I got a smile on my face, and it's kind of like every photo shoot I've ever done, every advertisement, everything I've ever done has got the exact same smile on it. It's just my smile, right?
Yeah.
It's just what I do. This is what I look like. Huh. And this was the first time we've ever picked a photo for me in which I wasn't smiling and I'm just a little bit more stern. And I'm like, okay, yeah, give it a run, And immediately my wife's like, I don't like it. And
really?
Yeah, my wife right away.
I think-
and I was like, we're going to try it.
There's everyone else is kind of mean looking.
Yeah.
I think you're going to match the ferocity.
Well, I don't know. I think we like to run counter to the lawyer,
That Bingham guy.
Yeah.
That Benson and Bingham. I made that up. I have no idea what they look
No.
like. I just
So-
see their billboard.
So, yeah, I've gotten some feedback of everybody's like, dude, why are you so angry on your board? And, like, what's going on? But I have gotten some positive feedback, too. Like, I have gotten some feedback where people like it, like the change. I think we did a touch-up on the rebrand. I like the way we've cleaned up sort of the logo and the color scheme. And I just thought it fit. I thought it looked good. But I think, every year or two we redo some photos and stuff, and I'm sure next year I'll go back to the smile.
When you get done today,
Yeah.
I want you to go back to your office, order a nice bottle of wine to send over to the marketing team that you're at, whoever you use for ad buying. You know why? Because if this has been a topic of conversation, they did their job because people are noticing the difference, and you want to know that people are seeing it, right?
Yeah.
They did their job because everybody's got something. It's like Steve always says, or when we first met, he said, Willie, if they're not complaining about you, then you're not doing something right. You better you want them to complain, or you want somebody to have a conflict on both sides. The fact that they're doing so, they did their job.
Oh, I didn't even send you the other day too. I guess there's this social media person does these reviews of the Las Vegas billboards, and they did ours.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Oh, it was positive.
Okay.
It was positive.
right.
But I won't ruin it for you. I'll send it. Send it to
me.
you.
I wanna read it.
Yeah. No. It's a video.
Oh, video.
It's
Okay, I wanna watch
It's
it.
a reel.
Okay.
Video.
She's like, oh, we're doing Battleborn today. It's like
make me
part
nervous.
13 of the series.
Headline: Las Vegas Raiders are planning $158 million North Plaza and pedestrian platform touching Hacienda at Allegiant Stadium. They are seeking $75 million in public funds from excess hotel tax revenues, the Waterfall Residual Fund, to help pay for it. What are your thoughts on this?
My thoughts is that the way they structured the bill when they passed it to fund the stadium is they've got these excess funds. They go into the reserve first. The reserve's got to be built up, and then they go into the waterfall fund. They fall out of the reserve into the waterfall fund. And the waterfall fund can only be used for stadium improvements, infrastructure in and around the stadium, or access around the stadium. So that's what it could be used for. So it's like they can't pull it out. They can't use it for anything else. And so unless the legislature wants to change that and go back and try to grab that out, which I actually don't promote. Right? We made the deal, honor the deal, right? So I think it's whatever. It's fine. That's the money's got to be used for something. If they think they have improvements for Uber and Lyft access into the stadium and for pedestrians over the bridge at Hacienda, great. Like, let's do it.
Well, a lot of people immediately ran to they're screwing the schools, but you just explained it.
They are screwing the schools,
But the fund, well,
yes.
the parameters were put in the. If you want to say originally that they were wrong, well,
It's the same screw.
by the way, I might buy that because, as we've pointed out many times, I don't think a lot of the people who voted on this even read through the whole thing, read through that SB1.
But that was a topic of conversation.
was,
I
okay.
do remember that because I was coming up for election. If you remember, this special session happened about 3 weeks before the election in which I won the race. And so I didn't get to vote on it. Didn't get to have an opinion on it by design because the leadership recognized that things were going to change. And so I watched that hearing very intently because I knew it was going to be a topic even after the vote. And I do remember in the Waterfall Fund that there were assembly members and senators who were against this that said, hey, this should flow over to the schools. Any waterfall should flow over to the schools. And the counter argument was it doesn't do you any good to invest $750 million into a stadium if you don't continue to improve the infrastructure and access around it. And I can buy into that. You don't want to have outdated infrastructure around the stadium. But I will say that, and Alan Snell did a great article on this, tons of research on it. I did go back to look at some of the hearings and hear what their projections were for the events that they were going to get. Because Alan put on there, they're averaging about 38 events a year, ticketed events. Okay.
I thought it was 50 plus. I thought it was supposed to be 53.
They have private events, but ticketed events.
Okay.
38. And in the hearing, their projection on yearly was 46. And that doesn't sound like too big of a difference, but it's 20%. Mm-hmm. It's a 20% over evaluation. So, I think I love that Alan does this stuff. I think it's good to go back and remember where we got, where we were on this, what the projections were, so that as these things come up and there's other public dollars being asked for, we can hold them accountable. I do think what they're asking for is in line with the original deal. Okay, we made that deal. But that doesn't mean they're always going to be on the up and up on that stuff. And we shouldn't just throw, public funds at anything they ask for just because it qualifies under the fund.
Headline, Raiders linked to insane new document uncovered in Brian Flores lawsuit against the NFL. PFT's all over this. What could this be?
You know what? I don't know what this is all about, but I mean, you got to imagine that's Flores connected with Gruden and all of the underlying investigation that goes with it. But I don't know what the document's going to be, and I don't know. If
speculation by PFT was it had to do something with the Raiders coaching search. They hired new coaches in obviously last year, 26, 25, 24, 22 in 2018.
Yeah. So which one of the coaching?
Maybe
searches?
the Josh McDaniels search because it was very abrupt.
Right.
But this would seem to suggest that there was someone said something
right
that seemed to have some sort of limiting racial parameters. And it has a lot to do, this is from the search firm, Korn Ferry. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, obviously, I don't think the Raiders were in the modes in some of those coaching searches to do the NFL any favors, right? They were in a coaching search because they feel like the NFL pushed out Gruden, and so I don't think they were trying to do any favors, and maybe that's what caught up in the Flores search. But it'll be interesting. I mean, the fact that it's already been out there in this context in the public, I think we'll know. I think we're eventually going to learn, and it would be a shame, based on the Raiders' history, if it was something racial. They were such an organization at the front end of a lot of racial diversity within the NFL that I think that it would suck if that was part of the story.
This is a wild one, where as we follow what's going on with the Lakers sale, we can put Mark Walter to the side for now because there's a whole thing there with insurance, and that's kind of an expertise of yours. But I want to talk about the bus brawl and family fights, and you got a 5-on-1 situation here.
Yeah.
The other 5 said, hey, we're selling. Okay, we're out. And Jeannie's like, absolutely not.
Yep.
That's not right. That's not legal. Does she have something here?
Well, I mean, she may or may not have something, but she's got the framework of something. I'll say that because the ownership was held in a trust. And so there is a trust document that governs exactly what everybody can and can't do. And there was a debate back in 2017, and Jeannie Buss went to court, and the court agreed. Jeannie Buss will be the controlling member, that the Buss family must maintain at least a 15% interest stake in the team so she can continue to be the controlling member of the organization. The court determined that, and the court determined that they couldn't vote her out. So we have this document that I haven't seen, and nobody's seen, it's under seal, that has a judge convinced that Jeannie Buss sits on some pretty strong legal arguments. We also know that when they sold to Walter, they retained 17.8%, and Jeannie Buss was guaranteed to be controlling owner to at least 2031. So we have a document of sale that was approved by the NBA. They were aware she's going to continue to be controlling owner. Now, what we don't know is Iger and Kushner, have they agreed that she's going to be the controlling interest? I suspect no. Otherwise, she wouldn't be publicly coming out and saying, this ain't happening, right? Did they agree to keep the Buss family with at least 15% and her being controlling owner? I suspect no. Otherwise, she wouldn't be coming with this. So we're going to see. She has a history. She's not going to back down from this. Now, maybe she's playing this up. maybe she just wants to sweeten the pot. Maybe she wants more than $12.5 billion. Maybe they want, she wants her own single billion to herself just to agree to take away this fight.
I
don't
the
know.
feeling for her, it's not about money.
I
this
agree
is
so-
important
I
to
agree with
her.
you.
This is her existence, and the brothers and the sister are, getting a chance to stick it to her and do it publicly. So they're going to have this fight out in public. National Hot and Spicy Food Day. All right.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, Willie. What day is it today?
National Hot and Spicy Food Day. Do we have a go-to?
What does it mean to you? Are you a hot and spicy guy or not?
Oh, 100%. I love hot and spicy food. Don't care about the stomach issues. Don't care about ulcers. Don't care about the diverticulitis. Bring it all on. Let's go. I'm all.
By the way, that's a pretty strong claim. I don't care about the diverticulitis.
I don't.
Hello.
I don't. The first week when I first found out that I had, actually it's diverticulosis, not itis. Itis is when it flares up. Osis is what you have ongoing. When I first had, the very first week, I did everything that you're not supposed to do. Because when you tell someone you have that, what do? They go, whatever you do, don't eat strawberries, don't eat peanuts, don't eat popcorn, don't eat corn, they tell you what not to do. So I made sure that I did every single one and waited 72 hours. So like I started with this, waited 72 hours, did the next. Because the first time that there was a flare-up, I go, that's the thing that gets caught in the pocket that's in the stomach lining. And I found out that it was corn. So now, if I go someplace and I have a little corn, I just make sure I chew it a little bit better.
Okay.
And that's the way it goes.
On the topic,
Big hot and spicy guy.
You are
Big time.
Come on now.
really. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have expected that.
Really?
I got thrown off last week. Our buddy Scott Seidenberg, who comes on us on Thursdays, he said he couldn't do the Mendoza meal at Allegiant because the Taco Bell chicken strips are too spicy. And we're like,
What?
really? But there are people who can't do above like a 2 or 3. Adam Hill is a guy, he can't do spicy.
If I'm at a Thai place 1 through 5, I'm a 5. If it's 1 through 10, I'm a 10.
I'm like Justin.
Yeah, I love
And that's why I
spicy
go to
foods.
spicy.
I'm not, but it's very interesting that you mentioned Thai food. I could do a 4. I'd be pushing it. But Thai food is one of my go-tos for spicy food.
Well, that's when you said hot and spicy day, the first thing that comes to mind for me is Thai food.
100%.
But I will say the only one that can really get me, they got me sometimes, is the Indian food.
Never had it.
Dude, when they fire that thing up, when they go spicy on that, it can get me. I mean, I'll as a matter of honor, I will finish it and show them. But that it's a whole different. It's just a different kind of spice.
And then you become the character in John Panett's stand-up bit about Indian food.
I was thinking of Ted Lasso at the
okay.
Indian
Oh.
restaurant. He's all fired up and eyes are on fire. So, yeah, but Mexican food, love all the spiciness there. Can handle it all. Thai food, that's what those are 2 very frequent meals that I have. It's Thai food and I like spicy sushi too.
Yeah, I can do spicy sushi.
I'm a big wasabi guy.
Yeah,
Me too.
Sometimes a
Yeah,
little too
wasabi.
big.
Yeah.
Big horseradish guy. There's been a few times where I'm like, whoa, like did way too much. And you sit there in pain for like a good minute while it's trying to clear out. I love horseradish.
Well,
Oh,
when,
God.
when you initiate someone to sushi, you tell we always generally tell them with the wasabi, we mix it up with something, tell them it's green tea,
Nah.
or something green tea, and then drink it down.
Good luck.
some way or another.
We got a minute.
As someone who's Middle Eastern, when you order certain things from certain places, there's a place up at my house really good. With it will come a whole jalapeno, and it's roasted. And I don't know what that does by keeping it in the skin with the seeds in there. It's like it gets hotter. I love it. Love it.
That's great.
Yeah,
Sometimes you pay for it the next day, but
sure. Or you just clean it right out. It just cleanses you.
I mean, you're as old as I am. I was going to make the comment. Sometimes you can't clean it out. It won't come out.
Got to push it right through.
I got that to look forward to.
Spicy
huh?
food in an apple.
Maybe not.
Hey, spicy food in an apple pushes it right through. You're good.
You always give me these tips like nothing's working.
You lie. You don't try.
Oh, if you need,
I do.
I have a go-to.
'cause you eat too much
If you
cheese.
it doesn't ever happen to me. I don't have that problem. But if it does, all you got to do is go to Carl's Jr., bro. Go to Carl's Jr., eat anything, you're fine. It'll clear you all out.
I've heard that about other fast food, so I won't shout them out. But thank you, right? Thanks for clearing me out. 766-1400 is the call from anywhere in the state of Nevada. Number 775-766-1400. That'll do it for this week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, boys.
Justin Watkins. Coming up next, we'll go to SEC country, talk to Heath Cline about some of the big stories, including who Bama is going to have at quarterback.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas and ESPN Reno.
All right, rolling on here on this Wednesday. Battleborn Injury Lawyers is the site. College football, week 0, now just 10 days away. Boy, oh boy, the football season comes quickly, and I'm fired up about the freaking season, man. What a season is on the way. A balanced season, I think. Wild season. Heath Cline covers one of the best conferences in the country down in Atlanta. He covers the SEC, and Heath is up on a Wednesday here. He's one of our regulars with Cofield and Company. What's up, buddy?
Just like you, man, fired up about things. This is going to be fun, and you're right. I mean, you look at it, you can make an argument for at least 7 teams to be number 1. I guess only 6 of them, or 5 of them, I guess, got first-place votes in the AP poll. But you can make an argument for up to 7 and not just come off like a goof, and that's just not how it is most years.
By the way, just to sidetrack for a second, you were traveling today. Were you in Texas?
I was in Louisiana and then was on my way through Houston back to here. I actually popped through Baton Rouge on Monday, went over there to check a couple of things out, talked to a friend of mine over there, and didn't get to go to a practice. I was hoping I was going to get to go to a practice. Didn't work out, but I did at least get a chance to talk to a media buddy over there a little bit about what's going on over at LSU.
Perfect. Willie just penned a story and was talking about some of the potential surprise stories. Willie, who was your sleeper in the preseason top 25?
My sleeper happened to be the LSU Tigers. I said, who's the sleeper in the preseason? Well, here's why. I just put, at 1,800, right, plus 1,800, you can look at
That's
teams.
to win the national title?
That's to win the national championship. I'm always looking for something higher priced of a team that you think is capable of getting into the playoffs. Because when you're holding that big of a ticket, depending on the investment, there's obviously the hedge back. But, what I wrote was that Kiffin inherited something he never truly had at Ole Miss, right? A roster with championship-level talent across the board, plus the resources to rebuild weaknesses. And with his offensive track record, bringing in Charlie Weiss Jr., I just felt as if when you look at the numbers at the sports books and what's being offered, that's what stuck out first in terms of that second tier of pricing without going right to some of the favorites.
I could buy it. I mean, certainly they're capable. Would you pick them? I don't think anybody would say right now, yeah, that is the team to pick. But can they be in the playoff? Yeah, they probably should. And you're right. There's enough raw material there that once they're there, they'd have a chance. So, yeah, it's not the craziest idea I'll hear this month. I guarantee that.
Well, and the other thing, let me ask you this. I mean, 43 transfers among 59 newcomers. Of those 43, if you were to just summarize that in how much of an impact that's going to have?
It's going to be enormous. I think particularly they're counting on offense being where they're going to get a lot of that impact. The quarterback is the most clear-cut because even if it's not him, it's going to be Houston Longstreet if he gets hurt, who's another transfer at the quarterback spot. But they're counting on receivers giving them production there. They are looking for a lot on that side of the ball. Defensively, they've got some important guys too. But remember, they retained Blake Baker as DC. So it's the same scheme, and he's got more guys in place. Lane is basically trying to build much of that offensive skill positions out of the portal. And so, that side is where you're going to really notice it more, I think.
How big an impact can this kid, Trez Green, 6'7", 235, have as a tight end in college football?
I think he could be huge. I mean, look, last year they were raving about him, and they just didn't get Nussmeier. How much of it was just not playing well? How much of it was that ab injury he apparently had that affected him a whole bunch? They just never, ever got that offense going last year. I think Joe Sloan as an OC was terrible, too. We'll see how he does at Kentucky. Maybe it'll turn out he's a late developing gem, but I thought it was a lazy, bad hire by Brian Kelly when they put him in the role. They couldn't run the ball effectively last year. That was the thing to me, Steve. I was at their game with Louisiana Tech last year, and I just came away afterwards saying, they can't run the ball at Louisiana Tech, they're screwed. Because it wasn't like, oh, they won a big game the week before. They just kind of mentally weren't sharp. That explains things like maybe, you're a little sloppy, but just line up and run the football when you want to against a team like Louisiana Tech. You're supposed to be able to do that if you're LSU. And last year, week 2, they couldn't. This year, between Kiffin's ability to call plays along with Weiss and run scheme and what they've added, I assume they will run the ball more effectively, and that'll help get a guy like Trey'Dez Green going. There's a guy, Lucas Haas. I don't know. Have you ever seen a picture of Lucas Haas by any chance?
No.
He is the tight end at Ole Miss. I want you to look him up when you get a chance. He looks, those stories about guys in the 60s where they were a linebacker and then they ran a tire shop in the offseason? Lucas Haas looks exactly like one of those guys. And he's not a bad football player, but they made him a contributor. If they can make that dude who looks like he should be running a muffler shop a contributor, I guarantee you he could find a way to make Trey'Dez Green into one.
Yeah, he's 22 going on 46. He looks a little bit old. The hairline's disappearing. 6'2", 240. I get it. So
he changed my oil last week.
Okay. All right. Was there any talk in Baton Rouge about the stuff that came out last week with Jaden Daniels? And is there any case to be made that Jaden Daniels is not the bad guy here with his number 5 battle?
Well, I'm sure you've heard the same thing. It's really not likely him. It's more his mom. His mom has been super involved in his career. Heck, if you remember back to Arizona State, there was talk that she was apparently funneling money as part of that whole thing that Herm Edwards had going there, that she was distributing money to players or their families. So she is known for being hypersensitive to anything involving her son. And I think the belief is this is more about mom than about Jaden Daniels himself being mortally offended by this. But having said it, my Lord, what a terrible look. I mean, they're not making as many jokes about it there. But, Steve, if you look at the LSU social media, they've sent out multiple times in the last 4 days pictures of DJ Pickett making plays wearing the number 5. So they're not necessarily taunting him by design, but, boy, it doesn't seem like a total accident either.
Let's go to Tuscaloosa. Are we expecting a decision here on the quarterback derby for the Crimson Tide?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't talked to anybody today about where things stand, but I don't know how you can realistically go with Austin Mack unless he is just so much better than Keelan Russell. Russell, the physical tools, everybody agrees, are spectacular. It's going to be a lot easier if you decide to go with Austin Mack to then switch to Keelan Russell. It'll be a lot harder to go Keelan Russell than switch to Austin Mack. But the only argument for Mack is, well, he's been in the system so long. And in the locker room, Steve, when dudes have seen a guy and they know he's special, if the coach plays somebody else, he better be right. And I just think that's going to be a hard sell based on what I've heard so far about Russell. He hasn't been perfect in practice. I talked to somebody a week ago that was like, yeah, he's still making some mistakes, but I just don't know that you can keep a guy with that ability on the bench very long. If they do, man, Mack better just be impeccable week after week, or else it's going to be mighty hard not to make the switch soon.
People love football because I saw one Twitter account send out a video of Keelan Russell just throwing the ball, and it had like 550,000 views, and there were comparisons by whoever wrote the tweet to Jaden Daniels. When I watched it, I actually thought his motion was a little bit flawed, and some of the throws weren't that great in practice. Now, I say that. I go to football practice almost every day. I would never judge someone on 25 seconds of video, but it is crazy how that has become a thing now where you send out a video of someone in practice and they're making all these determinations from it.
Yeah, no, it's funny because I'm sure you saw the clip of Cam Coleman making a couple of unbelievable highlight reel catches at Texas, and it was somebody else pointing out, well, now, wait a minute. If he's making this unbelievable leaping one-handed catch, maybe the throw should be where it's supposed to be so he doesn't have to do that. Like, even as you're promoting, wow, look at what Cam Coleman could do. Hey, maybe the quarterback needs to get the ball on target. I go back to one guy, Steve. Danny Werfel was a guy that I covered very early in my career who went on to win a Heisman and national title. But Spurrier would tell anybody, in practice, Eric Kresser looked like the better quarterback over and over. Kresser actually won a national title for Marshall on FCS level. But in game day, it was a different story. And so, yeah, practice videos. I mean, Jamarcus Russell was it Todd McShay. Jamarcus Russell had the best workout he'd ever seen. I mean, you can only do so much off of that.
Let's bounce around the SEC a little bit. A couple of news items. I saw this headline. Kirby Smart pleased with Gunnar Stockton's growth. Gunnar is improving immensely. Is he, and where is he improving?
I think that they're hoping that he's improving on downfield passing, particularly stretching the field, because if you look statistically, that's where he had some accuracy issues last year. I believe his downfield passing rate was only 39% accuracy. That needs to be better. Now, I will say part of that may have also been that they didn't go downfield all that often because it seemed like half the time the OC wanted to just call bubble screens for Zachariah Branch repeatedly. So we'll see. But if there's an area that on paper was obvious he needed to get better, it was going downfield with accuracy.
Heath Cline's with us, SEC Insider here on ESPN Reno, ESPN Las Vegas. I saw USA today put out a list of SEC quarterbacks 1 through 16. Some of them are combos with the team listed. Top 5 are Chambliss, Stockton 2. Arch Manning's 3, okay. Marcel Reed, Sam Levitt, John Matier. When you looked at this list, is there someone who was in, say, the 10 to 16 range that you thought, hey, they're missing on someone there? They're a little underrated.
Well, a lot of these guys haven't played yet, so we have to acknowledge that. But, Steve, I will just tell you this. Look, Kamario Taylor could be Superman, and he can only do so much for Mississippi State. But literally, he is their offense. He is everything over there. But if we're talking about a team that could actually contend for something, if Faison Brandon is the player Tennessee people sure seem to think he is, he's going to be a heck of a lot higher on this list than number 12 by the end of the year. He's a guy that was a super highly touted player, and everybody who ever plays for Heupel seems to have pretty good numbers. He's a freshman. I'm sure he will have some freshman moments, but they feel like he really looks like he's ready to go out there and tear it up. So I would say by the end of the year, it's going to be Faison Brandon a lot higher on that list than 12. And I would also say keep an eye on Austin Simmons at Missouri, too, because remember, he was supposed to be ahead of Trinidad Chambliss last year. He got injured. Chambliss got the job, just never gave it up. But he's got a lot of talent, Steve. He got in against Georgia 2 years ago when Jackson Dart got knocked out of the game early, and people were like, oh, they're screwed. He led them to a touchdown against a really good Georgia team. So the brief flashes we've seen of Austin Simmons look good, and Drinkwitz knows how to call a decent offense normally.
You know, a story I'm going to be watching is how DJ Lagway does at Baylor and how Lenora Sellers does at South Carolina. One stayed, one went. I think there are times where high-level pro prospect quarterbacks just need a change of scenery. But you tell me, did Sellers make the right move by staying at South Carolina?
I think he did for the long term. We'll see about the short term. I mean, look, the school that reportedly tried to go buy him, just like they did like 6 other dudes, was Miami. I'm sure somebody else would have been interested if he put feelers out there. But I will say this, Steve, the line was so horrible, it can't be worse. It can only get better. The question is how much better. Now, I will say the fact, too, that his brother was going to play with him was part of the reason he was staying around, and now his brother got hurt and is out for the season. So if he'd known his brother wasn't going to be able to play at all, maybe that changes his mind. I don't know, but that was part of the thought process, was play another year with his brother. But they have an actual college offensive coordinator in Kendall Browse. I don't know if you know this or not, Steve. This is the first time that Shane Beamer has ever hired a guy to be his offensive coordinator. This is 4th one he's hired. First time he hired a guy who was calling plays the year before in college. Every other time he was hiring somebody who'd been doing other stuff, had been off the field completely or in the pros. This is the first time he actually hired an OC who's been calling college plays and brought his line coach with him. So the combination of all that, I figure, has to make the protection and being in sync better than it was last year. And then we'll see how much that helps Sellers, because clearly Shula was a disaster for him.
Heath, great job, man. I know you were traveling today, so I appreciate you doing the spot. Thank you.
I always enjoy it, man. Catch you next week.
There is Heath Cline. And next week, no games with SEC teams, believe it or not, in week 0. But after that, everyone's in action in week 1. And obviously the SEC is fascinating to cover. There's so much intensity. I don't agree with that quarterback list in many of the cases. I think USA Today was trying to play games with having Arch Manning behind Trinidad Chambliss and behind Gunnar Stockton. Arch Manning as a college quarterback and as a pro prospect is better than Gunnar Stockton, but people like to hate on Texas, one of the newcomers, and Sark, hate on him. Coming up, we'll go to the pros, Pro Football Talks. Myles Simmons is in on Cofield and Company.
Live from the Battleborn Broadcast Center, you're listening to ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, here we go once again. Cofield and Company, 2 hours in. 2 down, 1 to go. Willie Ramirez along with Steve Cofield. Hump day it is as we approach week 2 of preseason football. Of course, your Las Vegas Raiders in Houston. They will play tomorrow. But plenty of news around the league including some unfortunate injuries that you hate to see this early on. Here to break it down and talk about it with us is our weekly guest, our expert from PFT, Myles Simmons. Myles, what's going on, my friend?
Oh, not too much, my friend. Happy week 2 of the preseason.
Yes, and we are all happy here, Myles. We were mentioning earlier, man. I tell you what, you and I have talked about it. I know you've talked about it. I know how much it for you, because I've asked your opinion on certain things about, aggregate sites and where they just do nothing on their own. And man, it feels good to be part of a group this season where the original content, the stuff we're putting out, is so much fun. So I think I've been thinking about you often the last couple of weeks, and a couple of tips you gave me. I think it was last season. You said little things. You said, just keep this in mind, Willie. Do this as you approach it. Da da da. So just to give you a little shout out. I just want to let you know that.
Well, that's very nice, Willie. I appreciate that. I try to help people when I can, and not all of my advice is good. So, whenever it doesn't work, literally throw it out.
Yeah, no. Some of the food takes I'm up in the air about, but hey, it is what it is. It is. Man, NFL preseason injuries have been devastating, and we're just getting into week 2 starting tomorrow.
Yeah, what's really unfortunate is when you have guys that are going to be done for the season. I mean, you look at the Texans, they lost one of their young receivers for the season, and I especially hate it for young players who are going into like one of these things where you just think they're going to break out, and then all of a sudden, man, it ends so quickly. Then you look at the Chargers, it seems like they have a significant offensive line injury every single training camp, and right now, when you have Center Viatis, who has damaged his ACL, which in some ways sounds a little bit worse to me than a straight tear of the ACL, because then you at least can go in and repair it fully. But if there's damage to it, then what does that mean, and how does it take to heal? And he's also apparently has some other ligament damage. So we'll see how that turns out. He's supposed to be undergoing more tests over the next days. And then you look elsewhere where you have the Saints, and it's Tyson, their young wide receiver, who has been, by all accounts doing so well. And now it's a hamstring. And hey, this is a guy that has a history of hamstring issues. And so you don't want to be like, okay, well, is this something that's going to keep him out for a significant amount of time, and say, like, panic about that? But I mean, this was a concern about him coming out of the draft, right? And now, it is unfortunate that it's reared its ugly head so early on into his career. So that's, kind of a big overview of what's going on around the league, I guess. But, it's true, Willie, when you say, like, hey, there are a lot of things that happen early on in camp. And, occasionally it's one of these biggest name players that we see gets out, and, their season's over before it really begins.
Yeah, and you mentioned like tears versus, what it may be. Alvin Kamara, right, expected to be sidelined for at least the next month due to a sprained MCL. Those are also tricky because, well, he may feel good, but is it fully recovered? He's on the brink of feeling better, but at the same time, is it strained? Is it sprained? Is it weakened? Is it on the brink of snap? And those can be tougher at times, and especially with the veteran, because maybe it's been on the fringe of breaking down.
Yeah, and Kamara's a guy, he's on the other side of 30 as a running back. He's 31 years old, and there was some question as to whether or not he would be back with the Saints this year. They were able to come to an agreement last month to keep him on the roster and finagle with his base salary and things like that. The Saints were always doing interesting things with their salary cap. But, one of the, I guess, silver linings of that is I don't know how much the Saints were going to rely on Alvin Kamara going into the 2026 season, because they signed Travis Etienne from the Jaguars, who now comes back to Cajun country more, and is with the Saints there. And so I think he's going to be one of the keys to that offense. And it's going to be really interesting to me to see what Tyler Shuck does in his second year with Kellen Moore. We know he's a good offensive mind. Chris Olave apparently been having a very, very good training camp. Saints have also improved their defense. So I am really interested in seeing what the Saints can do this season.
Once again, speaking with Myles Simmons, PFT, joining us as he does every single week during the football season, getting it off and kicking. So I wrote a story last week for Team FB7. Standout performances from week 1. I isolated 9 of them, one of them being Ty Simpson. from the LA Rams, just to name one out of the group. Is there anybody that stood out to you that really needed to, and it doesn't need to be a young guy, it doesn't need to be a rookie or a first-year guy. It could have been someone, hey, third, fourth-year contract, or someone who really needs to come off of a horrible season. What stood out to you? Anything in particular?
Deshaun Watson. No, I'm just kidding. I think Ty Simpson actually did a really nice job. And what's funny is people, I saw on Twitter, and people, love to be haters on Twitter. And they're like, Ty Simpson, I recognize the Jimmy Garoppolo offense when I see it. And it's like, well, hell, guys, like, shouldn't he have training wheels? It's his first preseason appearance of his life. He's going from college to the NFL. He's not going to play unless something catastrophic happens this year. So, yeah, I think it makes sense to have the training wheels offense on. And if he goes out and he executes it well, which he did, is that not a check in the positive direction? Like, I think that's good. I would say the same thing about a guy in Drew Aller, right? He's another guy that he was
on my list.
Right, yeah, and he went out there, he performed the offense well. It's not like they were trying to ask him to do too much, but again, he is a developmental guy, and I think Aller is probably in a better situation than many quarterbacks could be when you're with a guy like a Mike McCarthy, when you're behind Aaron Rodgers, you don't have to play right now. There's time for you to develop, and so that's where I look at it, and I'm saying to myself, okay, there are positives there. Right? Mm-hmm. Where you don't necessarily want them to do too much. You know that they're probably not going to play, but if they go out there and they execute what they're asked to do, yeah, that's a plus. That's a plus for me. I don't think that there's anything wrong with going out and executing an offense that looked like it might be designed for training wheels. Like it should be. We're in week 1 of the preseason.
And when we talk about standout performances, we're always going to look at maybe, the skill position, obviously, right? Quarterback, running back, receiver. On defense, maybe an edge rusher, a linebacker. But Evan McPherson from the Cincinnati Bengals, right? He's coming off his worst year as a pro. He's a 6th-year veteran. That's where I was sort of leading to when I first asked you. In terms of, doesn't have to be a rookie or first-year guy, someone who really needs to prove himself. And with the Bengals, and what I feel is a make-or-break season for Zach Taylor. I mean, Joe Burrow coming off an injury-plagued season. This is a guy who could play a very pivotal role on this team, pending what happens with this offense, whether they're high octane, whether they need field goals. But I felt his first preseason game was a nice little statement for him.
Totally, yeah. He had a couple long ones, and that's something that they need out of him. And I remember, I think it must have been a couple of years ago, the Bengals were playing the Chargers out here in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium, and the Bengals were in one of those seasons where, I mean, this has been like this the last couple of years, where it's like, hey, their offense is kind of cooking, but their defense, their special teams kind of letting them down. And I don't remember if it was a Sunday or Monday or a Thursday night, but after that game, which the Bengals lost, going to the locker room, and I remember talking to Jamar Chase, and because McPherson missed kicks in that game, they were asking him, like, hey, what do you say to a guy like Evan McPherson after something like that? And he just said, I don't say anything. I mean, that's why we paid him all this money. He needs to make the kicks. And so when you know that your kicker has gotten paid, yes, that is something that has to be done. The kicker has to make the bleeping kicks. And so, yes, I think that this is a big year for him, and it's a big year for Cincinnati for sure. I mean, they went out, they traded for Dexter Lawrence. They wanted to improve their defense. It's the second year with Al Golden as their defensive coordinator. I don't know that it truly is a make-or-break year for Zach Taylor just because of the way the Bengals run their organization. But if you were talking about any other franchise, yeah, it probably would be a make-or-break year. So we'll see how that ends up.
Myles Simmons, Pro Football Talk here on Cofield and Company. Tweet headline, Shane Steichen, going to be really fun watching Keenan Allen with Daniel Jones. I think it's a good signing. Our resident Colts fan on the show, John Von Tobel, was meh. What do you think of the signing? Is it significant?
I mean, I would agree with JVT on that. I mean, it's a signing that makes sense. Keenan Allen has a good history with Shane Steichen, who was an offensive assistant for the Chargers for several years. And so when you have a veteran who, I mean, his hands aren't going to go, he can still catch the football. He's going to be more of a possession receiver at this point. I think there's plenty of merit to that, in being a guy who is a significant target that can be out there on third down. And now there actually was some injury news out of the Colts today, and they were having a joint practice, I believe, with the Vikings. And apparently Tyler Warren, their young tight end, left practice early with a groin injury. So I mean, I'm not saying that Keenan Allen is a tight end, but when you're talking about big possession downs, right? Third down, third and medium, third and short. Who's a guy that you want to target? It's freaking Keenan Allen if it's not Tyler Warren. So that could just up the importance of him being out there even more. Especially, I mean, Michael Pittman now with the Steelers, right? You know, and Alec Pierce hasn't been able to get on the field with that ankle injury / offseason surgery that he's had. So they need somebody else besides Josh Downs who can help move the football down the field from a receiver standpoint. And, you know, we'll see if Keenan Allen can be that.
Yeah, I think the bigger story, and I have not seen Charger fan reaction, I think it's a loss for the Chargers because, to me, he was the whoopee, the security blanket for Justin Herbert. The guy had 81 catches for 777 yards last year. A ton of those were first downs, and now, as you mentioned, go back to the Chargers and the pop about the center going down. They also have an injury situation. I don't know how long it's going to be with Quentin Johnston, who became a reliable receiver finally. So we'll see how the Chargers deal with it. But, I mean, you know what? I guess I got to trust the Chargers. They've had Keenan Allen forever. They had him last year. If they felt like, hey, we don't need to bring him back, then don't bring him back.
Well, right. And I think part of it is the system that Mike McDaniel is going to run. I mean, I think that this year the Chargers, and they did this in the past too, you know, with Greg Roman running the football. The Chargers, I think, are going to have a really good mix of run and pass, right? And I mean more with the Greg Roman stuff is like, hey, their run game was everything for them. And I think when you have a quarterback like Justin Herbert, you need to be able to find ways to let him zing the football down the field. And so between having a guy like Hampton running it, you know, maybe Johnson, we'll see how long he's out, if he is out, how he can be able to push the ball down the field. Ladd McConkey is going to be even more important in that offense, moving the chains, moving the ball down the field. We'll see how much they get a speed element in there too, because we know how Mike McDaniel has used speed in the past with guys like Tyreek Hill and Jaden and Waddle. So I'm interested in seeing what that looks like, you know, from a lot of different standpoints. And defensively, too, without Jesse Minter there as their DC, what is that going to look like, too? The Chargers are a fascinating team, you know, because everybody every year is like, oh, is this the Chargers here? And I'm kind of overthinking that it will be. But they should be a very competitive team and a tough out throughout the course of the year. And then we'll see if Justin Herbert pees down his leg in the playoffs again.
Pro Football Talks. Myles Simmons up on ESPN Las Vegas. If you've listened to Myles over the years on Cofield and Company, you know he bristles a bit when we get into the NFL draft. It can be mind-numbing.
It's tell you the August 19th.
Well, I just mean in general, you're just not a lover of the draft, and other people, it's like, hey, I have to talk draft all the time. My number one topic I hate in the NFL to talk about are contract squabbles. I hate it. And prime example was Vita Vea ever really shopped or available? They inked him. They extended his deal. He's going to get a $30 million deal. He's got 2 for $48. I don't know how much is guaranteed. I hate contract talk.
I do too, to a point. I mean, I also understand it. I think the best contracts are solved behind closed doors. And like that's kind of what happened here with Vita Vea. I mean, the trade request got put out there early on in training camp. And then you had Baker Mayfield kind of try to put gasoline on the fire with what he was saying that kind of had to do with his own situation. But then he invoked, you know, Vita Vea. He also talked about Tristan Wirfs and like how Wirfs had to get, and it's like, hey man, like let's only talk about ourselves in some ways, because like that's not productive, I don't think, from any certain standpoint. We have to be able to solve this in-house. And so that seems like that's what the Buccaneers were able to do with Vita Vea. It's not like we heard much about, I mean, you know, whether the Bucs wanted to trade him. The only thing that they leaked / I think said publicly on the record to Jason Light, their general manager, was we have no interest in trading him. And sometimes when you say we don't have interest or we have no intention of, then you get Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson and the Seahawks, and they trade him to Denver like a month later. But this was a situation where I really didn't think that the Bucs had much of an inclination to trade him. They are still trying to win their division, and they don't get better by getting rid of Vita Vea. There's nobody really in the National Football League who is like him. And, you know, that's even as he's getting older and, you know, his skills may not be what they once were at the peak of his powers. He is still a freaking load on the inside. And so that makes total sense to me why the Buccaneers wanted to get this done. And so I agree with you, Steve. It's not like we really need to hear all this. the best teams do often solve their contract situations behind closed doors, and that's frankly what happened here.
Very interesting lead up to the season for the Seattle Seahawks, who clearly think they have some issues on the back end. These are two vastly different signings because of the circumstances, but Trevon Diggs and Terrion Arnold?
Well, look, it doesn't look like the Seahawks are going to have Terrion Arnold. Even if they do sign him, he would then likely end up on the commissioner's exempt list, which means that they would be signing him and paying him to not do anything. So until whatever the situation is gets resolved, I don't know that the Seahawks are going to sign Arnold, which is part of why they then go to Trevon Diggs, who has now a real nasty injury history and just has not been able to get back to the same player that he was when I believe it was 2021, he had 11 interceptions leading the National Football League. And I mean, he was tremendous that year, had a good year the next year, and then got hurt and just hasn't really been able to recapture that kind of play. And so last year, late in the season, he went to the Packers. They had him for a little bit, decided to release him early, and just because it didn't quite work out there for him. And so, we'll see what he has left in the tank. He says he's still got plenty left. I don't know if that's true. When you've had an injury like he did with the ACL, I believe it was, and then had another surgery about a year afterwards, I mean, it becomes that much more difficult to fully recover from it. So we'll see how it ends up. But yeah, the Seahawks looking like they need some help in the secondary, but I just believe in Mike McDonald and that scheme, man. Like it's going to be really tough for people to throw the football on them anyway.
I should not go down this legal path, but I love doing it. With Terrion Arnold, his next court date is October 5th. The attorney he picked up has an unbelievable record of success. He's an attorney out of Denver. He's represented a bunch of Broncos. The exempt list is always, I understand the position the NFL is in, because if this blew up in their face and they let him play, and it just, I don't know. Allegations are allegations, I guess my point is. So
sure.
It's a little weird. Maybe I'm the only person out here going, yeah, freedom for Terrion Arnold, but I hate the exempt list.
In the sense that it sort of gives the NFL a cover to just be like, oh, we don't want you playing right now, and we don't know what else to do with you, and like it because it's more of a PR deal than it is anything else, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, because you, as you were just saying, Steve, you don't want it to look bad if this guy has been playing and then all of a sudden he gets convicted of a serious crime. So yeah, I mean, I think the bigger deal for the Seahawks is like. And Florio has brought this up, and certainly you can read what he's thought about it on ProFootballTalk.com and watch our videos on the NFL and NBC YouTube page. What he has said is, like, how does this look to new ownership, right? Where you have a situation where basically you were saying, hey, we are going to bring this guy in, and then you read an article, and then it's like, no, we shouldn't do that. These are really bad allegations. And then the NFL's like, yeah, because that's why we're going to put on the exempt list, guys. So, like, are you what weren't you doing for your vetting process, before you had an agreement to bring him in? And apparently that agreement is still there. They just are still, working through some things, as they say. So I think the exempt list kind of is a cop-out, but I also understand why it exists. And I think that, this probably would be a good use case for it if he's on a roster.
I'm thinking a lot of bad things right now.
Okay.
This wouldn't be me saying it, but, if you get evidence and you find out that, someone stole stuff and maybe they needed to be pistol whipped, these things happen sometimes. I don't come from the mean
Jay
streets.
Simpson might agree with you.
Well, you know what? Believe me, I made the joke many times. Not many people outside of Vegas know the name Jackie Glass, but Jackie Glass is the one who will say, got OJ the second time around. So Jackie Glass is not going to be the judge, I don't think, in Terrion Arnold's case. Okay, we're going to put you on the griddle. It's going to get a little hot in here. I don't even know if you're going to have a good answer. No prep, but today is National Hot and Spicy Food Day. Willie loves spicy food. I'm like 60% in. Where are you on hot and spicy food? Are you in?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in. I love spicy food. Yes. Wow. Yeah. Love it. If I'm not putting, red pepper flakes or cayenne pepper on something, I'm probably not cooking it. Like, you got to have a little heat element. And you don't often want it to be too much. Like, last night I made some chicken breast and I had a serrano pepper in the marinade, right? Like, and I put some shallots, some garlic, whatever, balsamic. And like what you do there is you add that heat element, but it doesn't overwhelm what you're cooking. You don't want it to be so hot that it's only heat. You want it with flavor. So that's why, I mean, like I got a hot sauce collection in my house. I love them because you use Louisiana Crystal for your everyday hot sauce needs. You got to use Tabasco sometimes when you just want to add a little bit of heat, but you aren't necessarily concerned more about the flavor. You got to have the heat. You use Cholula for eggs, Tapatio for different things, sometimes veggie, sometimes not. But yeah, I'm a big hot and spicy guy.
Damn. Okay, I did not expect that. Willie, do you have a hot sauce? You were making a face when Myles was breaking it down.
I agree with everything he said, but what I love,
owner of the Knights, and the Knights are evil, and I'm like, wait until you find out who Tom Dundon is. Now, who is Tom Dundon? He owns the Blazers, and look what he's doing with the Blazers. But my whole thing was, when private equity buys into stuff, sometimes it can be okay, sometimes it's a disaster, and we've had some of our favorite foods around the country, by the way, including hot sauces. It might ruin it for you, because it actually has ruined one of the hot sauces for me. Private equity has bought some hot sauces, and now people are like, the sauce sucks. Like, they've changed it. They've changed the formula. It's not as good as it used to be. So just throwing it out there.
No, things become more about profit than they do, about the product and customer service, and everything becomes about shareholders. Some of that is kind of unfortunate.
Damn it!
The problem when it comes to food production, and I've seen this a lot being involved with my son's run through the fitness industry, is especially like with protein bars, but I'm imagining it's with everything. When all of a sudden something takes off on you and you're in demand of mass production, you know what takes place of the original ingredients? Fillers. Yep. They find ways to fill it. And that's what we used to see with seasonings, because we had our own line of seasonings. We went to a place here in Las Vegas that they blended themselves, and we would never added anything to it, and no MSG. But you see it with protein bars. And what had happened with one, and I'm not going to call them out, about 10, 12 years ago, they came out with they were very popular, and you could tell with the digestion tract, because you look for that when you are looking at the ingredients and the macros. And when all of a sudden, a year later, and they become popular, but that digestion tract changes, and all of a sudden, it lingers an extra 6 to 8 hours, and it's a little tougher to digest. Guess what? Those are fillers. They're not the original ingredients, and I would imagine that's with everything. Like you're saying, Myles, is the production changes because the mass production, the demand of it, and they change what they're putting into it, and that's the problem with the government. There's no regulation of what's being put into our foods.
Quite the dissertation. Myles, let's close on this. One more on the theme of hot and spicy, because I didn't expect you to answer about your home cooking. We have so many chefs on the show. We really do. Do you have an item, maybe an ethnic food, maybe not? It could be whatever, barbecue. Do you have an item that you go out for and you're like, hey, I have to get this spicy that you love?
Any like good Asian food. Like if I'm getting like a pad thai, I want that spicy. Like a fried rice, I gotta get the chili sauce going. Like give me that sambal, like kind of dump it on there. I gotta get that going for sure.
Does everyone on the show like the Takis or the hot Cheetos?
Oh yeah.
They're okay. I mean, I like Flamin' Hot Cheetos. I love that they get Flamin' Hot on everything now. Like Flamin' Hot Ruffles, the Flamin' Hot sour cream Ruffles. Oh, baby. Wow. Those are banging. Love those.
Here's what you got to do, Myles. Get you some cheese sticks, right? Dip them in a little in some flour, then a little egg bath, and then roll them in crunched up Takis and deep fry them for some spicy mozzarella sticks.
That actually sounds really good. That does sound really good.
Nice tip.
I like that.
All right, Myles. We appreciate it. Thank you. That was a good spot. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
I always say it was a good spot.
Myles is great.
He always laughs at the end. He's like, I don't believe you. No, Guns N' Roses tickets, we got them. August 22nd, the show's coming up this weekend. Guns N' Roses at Allegiant. Ticketmaster.com is where you can get your tickets. If you don't win these, James has your hookup for Guns N' Roses this weekend at Allegiant on Saturday. 364-1100, 364-1100, caller 7.
It's Cofield and Company on ESPN Las Vegas.
All right, we got a winner on our Guns N' Roses tickets. Let's do another giveaway here. We've got tickets to go check out the UNLV opener. And by the way, the area code on the phone number is 206. 206, so that was incorrect. But let's do a giveaway right now. 364-1100, 364-1100. Caller 7, you are going to get a chance. It's not a chance. You are getting tickets to go to UNLV and Memphis. UNLV and Memphis coming up next Saturday. It is week 0. It is the regular season opener for the Rebels, and it's a big one. I'm not saying they're out of the national they're not going to win a national championship, but out of the CFP hunt. Who knows? You never know. But they're out of the CFP hunt. Possibly, if they lose against Memphis, they're going to have a magical season from there. This is a big, big game because Memphis is one of the power players in the AAC. The game goes down on Saturday evening next week. 364-1100, 364-1100. Caller 7 for the game at Allegiant. UNLVtickets.com, UNLVtickets.com. If you don't win these, to go check out the Rebels and Memphis. By the way, UNLV football today with a closed practice as they were over at the Raiders facility dealing with a little coolness, right? Why not? After all these days in the hot weather. And it's going to be interesting down the stretch here to see what the depth chart looks like. They're going to release the depth chart on Monday. That'll be the next availability with Dan Mullen. It'll be a game week, and we'll find out. We're not going to find out the quarterback. I'll tell you that right now. It's going to be a Jackson Arnold or Alex Orji or Jackson Arnold. You will not know.
One of the things in my, 5 burning questions from the preseason AP Top 25 was there were no group of 6 teams that made it. So, but which was the most intriguing game? And I went through September and opening week, Memphis UNLV really could have some late season implications. If it has to come down to something, it could play a role on who's going to the playoff. So I included that in the article.
What do you think of the top 25 not including a single group of 6 school?
I thought it's the preseason, and why are we going to get so worked up over
I agree.
Preseason?
And most power ratings have schools in group of 6, the good ones, somewhere from 40 to 72.
Yeah.
So I did not expect them to be in the top 25. I also don't expect AP voters to do enough research and have any idea what's at group of 6. And the other unpredictable thing is the group of 6 schools have as much turnover as any schools around the country. So it's hard to make a prediction. There's a bunch of guys on UNLV, like, I think they're going to be good. I don't know if they're going to be good. I'm seeing them in practice. I'm sure the staff is like, well, we hope they're good. But live action's a whole different thing. All right, let's talk a little fantasy football. Let's bring in Ian Ritchie, Draft Nation. They're going to be hanging out this weekend at Circa Resort. All right, quick timeout. Let's reset. Cofield and Company here on a Wednesday.
Cofield and Company presents Grab Bag on ESPN Las Vegas.
Stick your hand in there, dude.
All right, we'll get to the grab bag in about 15. Let's talk a little fantasy football. As a big weekend at Circa. Ian Ritchie, Draft Nation, is up with Cofield and Willie here on this Wednesday. What's up, Ian?
How you guys doing? Thanks for having me on again. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Before we get into some nitty-gritty and some more snitches about fantasy football, let's set up what's going on this weekend. Circa, and we've got a National Fantasy Football Day, so lay it out here as the festivities start tomorrow, but Friday's a very big day.
Friday's a big day. Tomorrow night we have a big card break. Jared Blesnick, the Blez, is coming out to do a big card break for us to kind of kick off our event on Thursday night, and then Friday we have a stadium swim takeover. It's we got fantasy football named as a national holiday for Draft Day, and that's really what this event's about. August 21st is now going to be National Fantasy Football Draft Day. The calendar folks, the people from the city, the Chamber of Commerce, the mayor's office, they're coming out, reading a proclamation, cutting a ribbon, and we're throwing a big party for it. And the entire fantasy industry is here to support it. And we really, really are excited about this. It's the greatest party that fantasy football has ever thrown.
Let's talk about the leagues and what you've got in terms of availability for like super competitive leagues that are a little more pricey, and then some of the basic leagues where you can still win some good money.
Yeah, so during this weekend, we actually have the women's series drafts with a bunch of the top female analysts in the sports media industry that are here, and they're free drafts. They're on Saturday at Circa, and they're at 12 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And all the women's series drafts are free. And we want to get as many ladies involved as possible, and the analysts are there to help them, to talk about fantasy with them, to help them with drafts if they want to have a team. And, it's a free league, and the winner gets a trip to Hawaii. So it's a great gig. It's a lot of fun to get yourself involved. We have $25 best balls that people this weekend can come play against some of the fantasy analysts. And just really a casual, fun party atmosphere. And then as we get closer to the season, you know, we're running really higher-end drafts. We run the Las Vegas Fantasy Championships for $350, which has a $300,000 grand prize. And then we run the Fantasy Football World Championships, which is a $2,000 entry. And, you know, it scales up in league prizing and grand prizes. You know, it's all held at Circa and online. And we just really like to show everybody a great experience and a lot of fun. So if you want to come down and enjoy the parties, enjoy any drafts, come on down and join us, and we'll find the right fit for you.
Well, I know that there's some people out there that are wondering who they should take, where they should take them, especially when you look at the word sleeper. I looked at a list today, quarterbacks. I agree with one of them because I'm kind of intrigued with what he's got. Now, I unfortunately lost a young wide receiver, but quarterbacks, I'm going to give you two names. You tell me which one's the bigger sleeper or if you have a better one. Tyler Shuck or Jackson Dart.
We like both of them, actually, quite a bit. I know Shuck just lost to Jordan Tyson, which hurts him a lot.
Yeah.
That's really going to hurt. Even when he comes back, his knee's not going to be very stable, so it's not going to be a great situation. So that'll hurt him. But you're on a theme here, and the theme is guys you can get later on that are mobile and get some rushing yards usually can do pretty well and be good sleepers. Last year it was Drake May. One other I might throw out for you this year who fits that same mold is Malik Willis, who's going later. He's got nice legs. Nobody's expecting anything out of him, but he's a lot better than people think. And so there's a common theme in the last 3 years, quarterbacks taken in the 16th round or later. One of them has finished in the top 5 each year. And the theme is they're running quarterbacks. So both the guys you just threw out fit that bill.
Cam Scatterbo or Jonathan Brooks?
Cam Scatterbo, really, really like him. He just got to stay healthy. His running style is really aggressive, and if he stays healthy, he will massively outscore Jonathan Brooks.
Wide receiver position. Change of scenery for Michael Pittman Jr., Carnell Tate.
Love Pittman Jr. this year. I think he fits that offense really well and what Rodgers likes to do. I do like Carnell Tate. He's in a good situation. Dayball runs a nice offense, but Dayball went out and got Wandale Robinson and brought Wandale over. And so that's going to hurt the situation for Carnell a little bit, and they have Calvin Ridley. I do like him, but not as much.
Tight end, Isaiah Likely or Isaiah Likely?
I do like Likely. You know, I'll tell you something. Likely and Britton Strange are two pretty good tight ends you can get a little bit later. And we like both those guys. We like Likely quite a bit.
If you want to play high-level fantasy football, you got it going down this weekend. Big celebration of National Fantasy Football Day on Friday. It's August 20th, which is tomorrow, through Saturday, Circa Las Vegas. For more information, the easiest thing is go up on Twitter, DraftNation 2026, at DraftNation 2026. Ian Ritchie's up with Cofield and company, ESPN Las Vegas. Big friend of the program. I'm going to give you some theories, and let's see how it's played out in early drafts. Okay. Have you seen people doing the hero running back approach, which is locking in an elite high-touch running back in round one before going super hard on wide receivers?
Yes, with a little bit of a wrinkle. What I've noticed this season is guys going with that one anchor back in the first round, but then a lot of them are taking that McBride or Bowers because of the tight end separation with a bunch of receivers up top. So more this year than years past, I'm seeing some tight ends sprinkled in up top with that top-end running back. But then you're right, we're seeing a lot of receivers go, and then people are rotating back about the 7th round, 6th round, 8th round in there and getting the Ramondre Stevensons, the Bashal Tutons, and guys like that. That strategy looks like it's a good one this year because I like a lot of those 6th, 7th round running backs.
How about the approach of targeting second-year receivers, guys like Emeka Egbuka?
Like him a lot if he stays healthy. You know, I think Baker's on a mission this year. Godwin's our comeback player of the year, and so we really like that offense. And I think Egbuka's got a real opportunity this year to do really well, assuming he stays healthy. He started out on fire the first half of the season last year and kind of faded off. We expected big numbers from him. Our projections have him in the top 8 receivers this season, and so we have big expectations. But he just seems to get dinged up quite a bit, and it makes me a little nervous. I'll tell you the one receiver that we are really high on. It's actually the biggest difference between the high-stakes average draft position and the average draft position at the ESPNs, the Yahoos, and the CBSs, and that's Parker Washington. He's going about 3 to 4 rounds earlier in the high-stakes draft than his ADP in those other drafts. And so what I would tell you just from the numbers, I think that Parker Washington is a big-time sleeper for a lot of the high-stakes guys.
Let's go close to home here, Ian Ritchie, and talk about the Raiders. You mentioned Brock Bowers. Obviously, he's a clear choice as a number one at tight end. Is there a receiver on the Raiders you would draft?
You know, as funny as it sounds, you know, a lot of guys are taking Naylor, right? And, you know, there's obviously the story, Bishop Gorman, he's coming home. They went out and signed him to a 3-year deal, went and got him. And so he's going. I mean, he's not going early. We have a window, what we call the minimum pick, maximum pick, the min-max number. So he's gone anywhere from 131 to 162 in drafts this year. But there are people that think he's a decent, especially in best ball, that are kind of targeting him that 12th, 13th round for best ball drafts, a lot more so than regular scoring drafts. I would tell you that Naylor's there, and then Trey Tucker is actually going quite a bit later. He's fallen all the way, you know, to 164 ADP, but he drops into the 180s and 200s a little bit. One interesting thing I'll tell you is Mendoza's getting drafted in a lot of our drafts before Cousins, and guys are just parking him on the bench hoping the second half of the season he's magic. And so Cousins is kind of not really getting drafted much here or there, but Mendoza is. So that's kind of an interesting little wrinkle as well.
Is Justin Jefferson going to be all the way back, especially in terms of touchdown making with Kyler Murray?
Yes. We are this might surprise you. We do like Kyler Murray with O'Connell this year, the quarterback whisperer. Yeah. We think it's a great bounce-back situation. He's got Addison also. He's got Jawan Jennings there now. We think Jefferson's poised to have a really nice season.
Ian Ritchie's with us. Draft Nation 2026 up on Twitter. Tons of posts right now. You can get all the information on the big event coming up tomorrow through the weekend at Circa. I'm going to give you a couple of tiers here. I'm just going to pick out a name on a top 100 list for fantasy football. You tell me if you're good on this person. And some of them are going to be names that maybe people don't know. Chase Brown with the Bengals.
I love Chase Brown. He's going to get good volume. He's going to catch the ball, and he's going to get most of the carries there. We like Chase Brown a lot. He's going at the end of the first round in the high-stakes drafts.
Is Zay Flowers only, as this list has, a tier 4 if he ups his touchdowns?
Yes, and he is one of the most divisive receivers in high stakes. Listening to a lot of the high stakes players, some guys really believe in this upside and really believe in him this year, and other guys have completely punted. So a lot of division on Zay Flowers as an upside pick. On a personal level, I like Zay Flowers, and I'd be on the positive side. But there are a lot of guys that are just completely punted on him and won't take him this year.
Is Quinshawn Judkins really a top 50 player with Sampson there?
Again, I'll be honest with you. The answer is yes, but that's a great question. Sampson showed last year he can do really great job out of the backfield. That's a good one. But I know a lot of guys have been drafting Judkins in about the 5th round or so, and so he is still getting the love, and they expect him to get a lot of dumpers as well as Sampson getting a bunch of dumpers. That's going to be a good offense to watch as they play from behind a lot.
I'm a real simp for old players because sometimes my knowledge of younger players isn't strong enough. Who falls off the cliff this year at wide receiver, Mike Evans or DJ Moore? Mike
Evans. It's just starting to break, you know, and he's already hurt again. It's just starting to break. I think DJ Moore has a good season. He's not going to blow the charts off like some people are expecting, but I'll tell you, I would definitely take him over Mike Evans this year. Mike Evans makes me very nervous.
A guy who's a high production player ever since he led the league in rushing, but now questions in the air about a domestic violence charge. The first round of suspensions came out. He wasn't on the list, but Josh Jacobs, the league says it's still on the table. They're just waiting to see because it's under investigation. What do you do in a situation like this?
He's fallen. I would say normally Josh Jacobs goes in the 3rd round in our drafts. He's going in the 5th round now. So people are very cautious of that and don't want to be stuck with a 4 to 6 game suspension, which is very realistic for him to happen. If he gets 6 games, he'll fight it. I think a lot of the guys in the industry are discounting his price, assuming a 3 or 4 game suspension.
Check that, draft-nation.com, up on Twitter at DraftNation2026. Ian Ritchie is with us. All right, Ian, one more time. Remind people what's going on, and especially the festivities for Friday.
Yeah, come on down to Stadium Swim. We have a takeover of Stadium Swim. We have a DJ playing. We have a lot of giveaways of memorabilia. We have a dunk tank raising money for the V Foundation, and a lot of fun. It's an open bar. We have a lot of alcohol sponsors, which I know people appreciate. And if you want to talk fantasy, and if you ever want to be in a room where you could talk fantasy with 20 of the top analysts in the country, this is the place they're going to be. And they're all going to be there this weekend, all accessible to talk fantasy, talk sleepers, bus, everything else. And you can also draft with them. It's the best opportunity to meet a lot of the folks you see on TV. And we're going to throw a great party, so come on down and enjoy it.
What a cool event. All right, Ian. Hey, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for the hookup.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on, fellas. Take care.
At Draft Nation 2026 up on Twitter.
Looking at some of the names here on this website, Michelle Beadle, Adrian Peterson, Jeff Garcia, Austin Eckler. Then you get into some media members and then some actors, Thomas Everett Scott, Dean Cain. Pretty cool. Draft.nation.com. Check it out.
A couple NFL stories I wanted to hit, and then we got some WNBA going out here. Actually, one NFL story. When we were talking to Myles Simmons, one of the stories it's a little hardcore, but it is of Vegas interest. One of the stories they posted this week on Pro Football Talk, headline, 5th-round pick Fernando Carmona pushing for starting guard job with the Titans. Fernando played at Vegas High School here. I'd have to look back. I think I know I've looked into this, why he landed at San Jose State and not UNLV. That always drives me nuts when you see a guy land at another Mountain West school, or land in some cases at the time it was Southern Utah, and then make the NFL. So Fernando Carmona is a really cool story. San Jose State, redshirted his first year, 2 years there, 3 years, and then landed at Arkansas, and now he might start a guard for the Titans. So he's going to, hopefully he breaks through and he's going to make a lot of money in the NFL. 24 years old.
Yeah, those schools, that's baffling. The Southern Utahs, the Utah Techs, which used to be Dixie, a lot of times that's grades. They can't get in, and then they put 2 years in, and then they can move up.
I never asked Miles Killebrew, who's had a long run in the NFL with the Lions and the Steelers, if he had grade issues. I assume he didn't, that he was just under-recruited, which is funny because he's a monster as a safety, and he's made most of his hay in the NFL as a special teams guy. Let's close on this one. Listen, I don't want to bury her because it's not her fault, but I've been following the number 1 and 2 pick thing in the WNBA from before the draft, and AZ Fudd started to show some signs, but now what? Now she's out for the year?
Out for the year. She's going to have an arthroscopic procedure, apparently to clean. I'm guessing the scar tissue is built up. Hey, you come to learn a few things. I'm guessing because it's in the same knee that she had ACL tears, one in high school, one at UConn. The scar tissue buildup is now going to get cleaned up because the pain was just too much. So she is done for the season. Tough break for Dallas because they are somewhat on a little bit of a decline, and I'm not sure what's going to happen now in the postseason for them.
Thanks to Battleborn Injury Lawyers for providing the housing for the show. Reminder, if you're looking to get dinner tonight or a great happy hour, that's 24/7. Jackson's Bar and Grill is an awesome spot. Home of the best value steak in Las Vegas. $22 on the 1 pound ribeye, $22 on the garlic marinated bistro filet. Full menu, great spot. Club Tails 24/7 on the happy hour special. Jackson's Bar and Grill, 6020 West Flamingo. We'll see you.